The true mystic rank was the second heaven of the true spirit realm, and these people stood at the pinnacle of the sky cloud forest. A flip of their hand could make it rain. Across the entire sky cloud forest area, the number of those at the true mystic rank hadn't exceeded the amount of fingers on one hand. For example, no one in the Broken Moon clan had reached the true mystic rank in the past 1,000 years. The strongest Moon clan, the Lin Moon clan, had an expert at the true mystic rank a couple hundred years ago, but he had left the area of Sky Cloud Forest not long after he broke through and headed towards the center of the northern continent. Nothing was heard from him ever since then. The 3 experts at the true mystic rank were from the Cloud Sword clan, Ancient Shrine, and True Mystic clan, representing the strongest 3 clans of the 13 clans. Even the expressions of the group from the Iron Dragon country moved when they saw the 3 at the true mystic rank. At this moment, the aura from the 3 at the true mystic rank spread across the whole area, and they were the leaders of the 13 clans. Usually, these people were grand elders, and it was a rare sight to see them. But the once every 10 years alliance banquet was also special, and it required experts at the true mystic rank to open the path to the origin core ruins. Open the array. The chi of true spirit from the 3 experts at the true mystic rank connected to the earth, and the spatial abyss kept on expanding. Around the spatial abyss was a wall of water. If it collapsed, the weight would be counted by hundreds of millions of kilograms. The wall of water surrounding the spatial abyss kept on expanding until it reached the origin core ruins at the bottom of the lake. Zhao Feng, God Spiritual Eye, scanned it, and he analyzed that this path was created by an array, and it needed 3 experts at the true mystic rank and a unique way to open it. Don't waste any time. The array's power can only last half a day, and after that no one will be able to stay. The 3 experts at the true mystic rank floated at 3 corners respectively. Under the crowd's gaze, Zhao Feng, Song Yue, and Lin Tong headed towards the spatial abyss. Chiu. Zhao Feng leapt into the air, and with the flash of lightning, he became a blur that surpassed Song Yue and Lin Tong. In terms of speed alone, Zhao Feng easily beat Song Yue and Lin Tong. His actions seemed to prove that his position as the top star was unmovable. The lightning inheritance increased his speed greatly, and this was still without using his bloodline power and Yin Shadow Cloak. The 3 at the true mystic rank saw all of this. The Grand Elder from the Cloud Sword clan was a silver-haired cultivator of the sword, and he was expressionless. In his eyes, even those at the true human rank were nothing, and this was just a junior. The Grand Elder from the True Mystic clan was an old Taoist who glanced at Zhao Feng with meek eyes. These 2 only looked at Zhao Feng once. Only the Grand Elder from the Ancient Shrine, a purple-haired youth with a red mole in the middle of his forehead, scanned Zhao Feng with coldness. This made the latter hiccup. The Grand Elder from the Ancient Shrine seemed to have ill intent for him. Of course, with his cultivation, he would be too disdainful to attack a junior, even if Zhao Feng was the top genius. Zhao Feng was slightly frustrated. Although he came first, he was still nothing in the eyes of the experts at the true mystic rank. So why would he have ill intent towards him? At least the Grand Elders of the Cloud Sword clan and True Mystic clan didn't seem to have ill intent towards him. Even if Zhao Feng didn't come first, it wasn't like the Ancient Shrine would be first. And since the Cloud Sword clan's elder was so expressionless, this meant that the Ancient Shrine's actions were not normal. Zhao Feng suddenly remembered how in the ancient temple, the hooded figure was also from the Ancient Shrine, and he didn't seem to have a low position in the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. After that mission, Zhao Feng had told First Elder, and First Elder had also discussed this fact in the 3-clan party. For this, the 3 clans cleansed all the suspicious figures in their clans, and they tried to find spies in their clans. The result was that the forces of the Scarlet Moon religion had only affected the outer layer of people. So, the 3 stars had entered the spatial abyss under the gaze of all the clan's people. Whilst traveling downwards, Zhao Feng heard the sound of water being blocked. The 100 of millions of kilograms of water was being forced out of the path. Zhao Feng, Song Yue, and Lin Tong followed the path to the bottom of the lake, and a giant hole the radius of tens of miles appeared. Before the 3 arrived, they felt a powerful mystic force reverberate around the hole, which seemed to have the power to crush the several hundred millions kilograms of water. Zhao Feng's feet felt cold as he felt his blood and flesh become suppressed by a domination aura, causing him unable to breathe. The three had a feeling like there was an expert who could flip the oceans and pierce through the heavens sitting in the hole. This is the remaining power of intent which still remains connected to the heavens, causing unbelievable power. Zhao Feng was full of respect. Tsang. The three floated inside the hole and the remaining power of intent became stronger. The yuan qi in the hole was in a very weird state and it seemed to repulse everything that came near. Hong Long. The wall of water above the hole became calm once more, and the several 100 million kilograms of water fell back down. Zhao Feng felt like he couldn't breathe. Just 1% of that power could grind him into powder. How was a body made of blood and flesh able to block the mass of several 100 million kilograms? The next scene shocked them. When the water came near the hole, its speed suddenly slowed down. This ground in this hole isn't wet. Could it be? Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. As he thought this, the water was all blocked from entering the ruins. This place was the cleanest piece of land under the lake. Not a single drop of water was able to enter it. Without the erase power, we wouldn't be able to enter the ruins. Song Yue's eyes flashed as she surveyed the dark blue water above them. After that, the three went their separate ways to gain insights. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and surveyed the entire hole. He analyzed that the area that was tens of miles wide had been created by a thrust of a palm. If the concealed dragon really had such terrifying strength, then he would only need a few breaths to topple the Sky Moon Mountain. The defensive array of the Sky Moon Mountain wouldn't be able to block this. Zhao Feng took a cold breath. At the edges of the hole, one could see the fingerprints and fingertips, forming a whole palm. This was like a palm of the heavens, limitless in power. Zhao Feng finally understood why experts at the Origin Core realm had become legends in this continent. Experts at this level had devastating power and they were existences that could destroy the balances of life. Zhao Feng's figure moved through the hole and surveyed the area. Soon, he found an old and tattered futon which had stronger power of intent on it. Zhao Feng opened his bloodline power and he was barely able to move near the futon. Closing his eyes, Zhao Feng only felt a deafening roar in his senses and the turning of the water. Of course, everyone's experiences were all different. This ruins should be the concealed dragon's place of cultivation. But somehow, even after thousands of years, the power of intent hadn't faded away. The mystery of the world wasn't something that Zhao Feng could solve at his level. The power doesn't seem like water nor wind or lightning, but it seems to survey the heavens and earth, controls water, fire, and lightning. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. When they were comprehending insights, sceneries would flash through their minds and Zhao Feng found that the concealed dragon's power wasn't different to normal people's and it could control other elements. For a deeper experience, Zhao Feng circulated his god's spiritual eye and the sceneries that he experienced became even clearer. In the scenery, the lake swirled and splashed. Under the roar, an existence seemed to control lightning, wind, and water. There seemed to be 9 figures of dragons in the clouds. That aura almost blocked Zhao Feng's bloodline power and made it excited. Could it be that the concealed dragon also has a bloodline? Is that why he has the word dragon in his title? Zhao Feng had his own guesses in his heart. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared and it sat on Zhao Feng's shoulder while surveying the place with its crystal black eyes. At the same time, Zhao Feng, Song Yue, and Lin Tong were all comprehending that scene. Zhao Feng's key point was the ability to control lightning as he wished as well as the concealed dragon's comprehension. The laws of lightning here was even more profound than the first level of the lightning inheritance. Zhao Feng's comprehension of the lightning inheritance was increasing by leaps and bounds and some parts that couldn't be understood before were all resolved now. The peak 6th level of the lightning wind palm was also progressing forwards and it was recreating the old skill. Time flew quickly by. Everyone only had half a day's time in the ruins and right now, only 4 hours had passed. The spatial abyss had been closed by the water and it was calm once more. No one above could see the situation below. Because the alliance banquet had ended, most of the clans were leaving right now. Cho! Right at this moment, an aura at the true spirit realm flashed through the air. The newcomer was an elder of the Cloud Sword clan and he was very hurried. Grand Elder, not good. The elder from the Cloud Sword clan shouted urgently. What happened? The silver-haired sword user said expressionlessly. Half a month ago, the Iron Dragon country crushed the Sky Rich country, and 2 of the 7 factions of the Sky Rich country have been destroyed while another 3 have surrendered. Amidst the defeated ones was the Sky Rich country's number 1 faction, the Sky Wind Pavilion. What? The Sky Rich country had lost? The Sky Wind Pavilion was destroyed? All of the older generation of the 13 clans exclaimed and feared for their lives. Everyone knew what it meant if the Iron Dragon country defeated the Sky Rich country. This was a nightmare for the 13 clans. Even the expressions of the impassive experts at True Spirit Realm changed drastically. Everyone knew that the 13 countries of the Sky Cloud Forest lived between these 2 countries, and that the war between the 2 countries was actually a clash between the factions of the 2 countries. Once the balance between the 2 countries was broken, it would affect the 13 countries of the Sky Cloud Forest. The Broken Moon clan were also stunned. The Sky Rich country and Iron Dragon country were always equal. What occurred for this to happen so suddenly? First Elder's expression was extremely solemn and uneasy. These 2 strong countries were existences that the 13 countries could only look up to. Their clans and sects were also significantly greater. The Sky Wind Pavilion is the leader of the 7 clans from the Sky Rich country. They had 3 to 4 experts from the true mystic rank experts alone, and their heritage is extremely ancient. How could they? The Broken Moon clan master's face was filled with disbelief. The Sky Wind Pavilion, the strongest force within the Sky Rich country, could destroy the 13 clans with one hand and was 10 times stronger than the Broken Moon clan. It was inconceivable for such a faction to be destroyed within such a short amount of time. What happened at that battle? What help did the Iron Dragon country receive for them to destroy the Sky Rich country so quickly? Questions popped up from within the 13 clans. From my knowledge, there seemed to be the interference from the spawns of the Scarlet Moon religion. Over the past few days, the Sky Rich country had asked our 13 clans for help. May I dare ask Grand Elders? The reporting elder of the Cloud Sword clan asked respectfully. The 3 experts at the true mystic rank stood at the pinnacle of the Sky Cloud Forest and had the power to decide the fate of the 13 clans. Furthermore, all the people with high authority from the 13 clans were present. The crowd had grave expressions as the 3 Grand Elders and the top authority from each of the clans gathered together. Once the Iron Dragon country destroys the Sky Rich country, their next target will be us. If our 13 clans combine our forces and assist the Sky Rich country, we may be able to turn the situation. The spawns of the Scarlet Moon religion have interfered with this war. Hence it won't be as simple as it seems. For assurance, we should ask the sacred ground for help. The 13 clans began to discuss. In the middle of the discussion, someone began to speak. Did the Iron Dragon country send people over to watch this time? This sentence caused the gazes of the 13 clans to shift. On the spectating stand, the group from the Iron Dragon country sat quietly with mocking expressions. A silver-masked noble woman stood up as she laughed. This is the moment of life and death for your 13 clans. Either choose to bow down to the Iron Dragon country or die. A cold and casual voice came from the mysterious figure in black. The silver-masked woman and black figure stood shoulder to shoulder as they emanated the chi of true spirit. True mystic rank. The higher-ups of the 13 clans were stunned. No one would have thought that there would be 2 experts of the true mystic rank watching. The silver-masked woman's aura was on par with the 3 Grand Elders, but the figure in black's aura was even greater, hence surpassing the 3 Grand Elders. At this moment, the group from the Iron Dragon country all released their auras. Those at the True Spirit Realm had reached a dozen, whereas the rest were either at the 7th sky or half-step True Spirit Realm. The 13 clans was stunned at first, but then laughed coldly in disdain. Humph! Do you think you can threaten us with just this amount of people? Hee, aren't you scared of being defeated by us? You only brought along 2 experts at the true mystic rank. Indeed, there was quite a lot of experts from the 13 clans here. Over a third of the present people were of mid to high authority of each clan, and were numbered over several hundred. In comparison, the Iron Dragon country's group was much smaller. Hee, really? The mysterious figure in black laughed lightly as he held out a black flag. Shwa! The black flag fluttered as 8 beams of black light shot into the air, creating fumes that enveloped the entire island. Almost instantly, black and red dots appeared in the air around the dragon, concealing lake, and flew towards the island. That is, the experts at True Spirit Realm heard the sound of fluttering. Just a few breaths later, the black and red dots became larger and turned into blood-colored giant eagles, each spanning dozens of yards. They were like a blood cloud as they carried 10 to 20 people on each one. There was 18 of these blood-colored eagles, and each of these eagles had at least an expert at True Spirit Realm. Blood cloud giant eagles? Could they be the ones that the Scarlet Moon demonic religion had once secretly created? The 9 forces of the Iron Dragon. You dare to work with spawns of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion? The 13 Clan Alliance roared angrily. On the Iron Dragon country's side, the figure in black and silver masked woman laughed coldly. From the beginning of the Alliance banquet till now, they were watching a show. Their aim was to stop the 13 clans from supporting the Sky-Rich country. Instead of defending these clowns, it's better if we take the initiative and attack. Zhe. The Alliance banquet of these little clans is the perfect opportunity for us to break them all at once. The experts from the Iron Dragon country revealed savage expressions. The black figure in the front held up the black flag as he spoke loudly. This is your final chance. Die or obey. The crowd was dead silent. From the current situation, the Iron Dragon countryside was on par with the 13 clans, and there wasn't much of a difference. What are we scared of? Let's just team up and gather more of our forces after we escape. That's right. We have one more person at the true mystic rank. The higher-ups of the 13 clans discussed through spiritual exchange and soon came to an agreement. The 13 clans were an alliance and had experience in teaming up to fight enemies. Kill! The experts of True Spirit Realm led the charge towards the Iron Dragon country. The air was instantly filled with sounds of battle and beams of light. A battle between the world of Cultivation had begun. Go! The mysterious black figure snickered coldly and waved the black flag, but the group from the Iron Dragon country behind him unexpectedly didn't move. Suddenly, screams and howls came from within the 13 clans. Many figures abruptly began attacking their own alliance. What's going on? The 13 clans were still puzzled at what was going on. The Broken Moon clan masterside was also stunned. Watch out for the spies! First Elder reacted, but just as he finished his words, a group from within the Broken Moon clan made their move. The leader of this group was Hai-Yun Master. Hai-Yun, you? The Broken Moon clan master humphed and blood leaked from her mouth as her back was hit by Hai-Yun Master's palm. Along with Hai-Yun Master was several mid-authority deacons and vice heads. Similar situations happened across other clans as each clan's spies attacked. This wasn't the worst since true spies were limited in number. The most terrifying part was the betrayal of the entire ancient shrine. The red mole on the forehead of the purple-haired youth, who was the Grand Elder of the ancient shrine, suddenly ejected a dark red lightning snake which hit the Grand Elder of the Cloud Sword clan. You guys actually... The silver-haired cultivator of the Cloud Sword clan spat out blood as he was attacked. The other dozen clans were stunned. The entire ancient shrine had betrayed the alliance. A bunch of dumb ants. The ancient shrine was one of the subdivisions of the Scarlet Moon religion several hundred years ago. Now the time is ripe. The Patriarch's revival is near. It is time for the Scarlet Moon holy religion to once again return to this continent. The purple-haired youth was full of mockery. The red mole in his forehead twitched as wisps of mental energy spread out. No one knew what skill he used, but all the experts of the Alliance began to fight one another with bloodshot eyes. The entire island had fallen into slaughter. Before the Alliance could react, they were surrounded by the Iron Dragon country. Kill them all! The mysterious leader in black waved the black flag. At the bottom of the lake, the Origin Core ruins. Zhao Feng, Song Yue, and Lin Tong were all mesmerized in their comprehension. The intent contained in the ruins was great even for Song Yue, who specialized in the sword. As for Zhao Feng, he was comprehending the lightning inheritance. As time passed, his aura became to slowly rise. On one hand, it was the comprehension and insights which replenished his mental energy, and on the other, the remaining medicinal properties of the shedding spiritual pill was changing his body. At a certain moment, arcs of lightning like a spiderweb circulated Zhao Feng. These arcs of lightning formed an azure lightning barrier. This is the lightning barrier. Anything that gets close to my body will be destroyed by the arcs of lightning. Zhao Feng smiled. After comprehending the lightning barrier, it meant that he had reached high mastery of the first level in the lightning inheritance. At the same time, Zhao Feng's lightning wind palm had reached the 7th level, which was also the highest level. Pipa! Zhao Feng opened his hand as an arc of lightning as thick as a finger appeared on his palm. Boom! The azure lightning sped off as it blew a hole in the ground, causing black smoke to rise. My cultivation is almost there. Zhao Feng felt that the purity of his true force was comparable to the 7th sky, hence his current cultivation could be considered to be at the 7th sky. Haha! I've gained a lot. Zhao Feng nodded his head while smiling. Meow meow. The little thieving cat on his shoulder threw up the bronze coin before it shook its head at Zhao Feng. What happened? Zhao Feng's mind was connected to the little thieving cat's mind and confirmed what the bad news was. He immediately circulated his god's spiritual eye and looked up through the water and saw the blurry scenes above. Why is it like this? Zhao Feng was stunned when he saw this scene. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead as an icy chill spread throughout his body. The scene before him stunned Zhao Feng. He would never forget it in his life. Above the island, the clouds seemed to be torn apart as the battle between the true mystic rank caused waves of wind to blow in every direction. In mid-air, the battle between the experts at true human rank caused a tornado which ripped the disciples at the ascended realm into shreds, causing blood and flesh to scatter everywhere. On land, the present disciples were all running in fear. In just a few breaths, Zhao Feng witnessed disciples whom he had fought be gruesomely slaughtered. Although the Iron Dragon country didn't have many people, the weakest were at 6th sky whilst the majority were at 7th sky or higher. These cultivators were all people who had been in countless battles and had great experience. They came from the battlegrounds of the two countries, and under normal situations, they were able to take on 2 disciples at the same cultivation due to their fierceness. For some unknown reason, the 13 clans had broken into chaos and did not band together in order to fight. The most important point was that, in terms of true mystic rank experts, the 13 clans was also suppressed. Due to the betrayal of the ancient shrine's Grand Elder, the 13 clans only had 2 experts at true mystic rank, but the Grand Elder of the Cloud Sword clan had been injured. At this moment, the purple-haired youth from the ancient shrine and the silver-masked woman suppressed the Grand Elders of the Cloud Sword clan and the true mystic clan. As for the mysterious black figure leader, he was holding the black flag and occasionally made a move to kill experts at the true spirit realm. The black figure leader was the heart of the Iron Dragon country and controlled who lived and who died. The 13 clans were forced into a desperate situation and could only fight for themselves. At the bottom of the lake, Zhao Feng took a deep breath before calming down. His god spiritual eye suddenly found a group heading towards his direction, and the group was the Broken Moon clan. Of course, the Broken Moon clan was also being pursued. Haiyun Master was a part of the pursuers. First Elder and Granny Luiyue were filled with rage and helplessness as they ran. The former's eyes would occasionally gaze towards the Origin Core ruins. It looks like Master wants to save me on the way. Zhao Feng's heart was filled with gratitude and warmth. Under this desperate situation, everyone was fighting for themselves, so it wasn't rare to not help anyone. Upon seeing this situation, Zhao Feng stopped hesitate and activated his bloodline power as well as his true force, causing the crackling of thunder to appear. Instantly, his aura rose as he officially stepped into the 7th sky. Using the remaining medicinal properties, Zhao Feng's breakthrough was successful and fully complete. At the same time, he told the news to Song Yue, who was nearby. Song Yue's heart shook as she heard the news and a light flashed in her eyes. She was suspicious, but when she saw the god's spiritual eye, every doubt dissipated. After comprehending the seed of sword intent, she had a sense for danger. The battle above was also quite loud. They could hear it even though they were at the bottom of the lake. Let's charge our way out together. Zhao Feng and Song Yuyue exchanged glances as they dove up into the water and swam towards the surface. As for Lin Tong, he had hid in some corner of the ruins, not daring to stop the two. Due to the fact that the situation was extremely dangerous, Zhao Feng didn't have the time to find trouble for Lin Tong, so he charged towards the surface with Song Yue. At the moment he had exited the water, the group of the Broken Moon Clan's people had arrived. It was obvious that Zhao Feng had calculated all of this. Fenger, First Elder and Granny Luiyue were both filled with joy. Everything had gone smoother than expected. Zhao Feng had come out to meet up with the clan. Swiftly glancing at the group, Zhao Feng had noticed that the Broken Moon Clan had lost over half of the people. Hai Yun Master had betrayed them and seriously injured the clan master, who then died in the pursuit of the Iron Dragon country. Of the 10 core disciples, Quan Chen, Yuan Ji and Bei Moi had all betrayed them along with Hai Yun Master. At this moment, 3 experts at True Spirit Realm leading 20 or so people were pursuing the Broken Moon Clan. Chiu, an azure lightning suddenly formed in Zhao Feng's palm which shot out and instantly killed a pursuing cultivator at 7th sky. Such destructive power. The eyes of the group from the Broken Moon Clan lit up. It seemed like Zhao Feng had increased in strength once again. On the other hand, Hai Yun Master's killing intent became stronger. Fenger, don't fight. First Elder cautioned amidst his joy. The 13 clan alliance were being slaughtered as of present, and if one was too strong, it would attract attention and bring greater pressure. Zhao Feng nodded as he shot out wisps of lightning to the pursuers. Pa! The wisps of lightning exploded and numbed the bodies of the pursuers, causing their speed to drop. Goodbye, Zhao Feng. I need to meet with my clan, Song Yuyue said before she left. The group from the Cloud Sword clan was several miles away from the current place they were at, and under normal situations it wasn't far. However, at this moment it was extremely far away. Song Yuyue, your chances of living if you run with us is at least double. Furthermore, being the top clan, the force pursuing the Cloud Sword clan will be several times the number chasing us. Zhao Feng persuaded. Thanks for your goodwill. Song Yue's beautiful face was filled with decisiveness. Her eyes were sharp. Zhao Feng sighed. He knew that Song Yuyue had her own beliefs, and if there was even the slightest bit of hope, she would meet up with her clan. Jiang. The 3-yard greensword was drawn, and under this slash, 2 cultivators at 7th sky were slain as she headed towards the direction of the Cloud Sword clan. Her display of strength instantly caused an expert of True Spirit Realm from the Iron Dragon country who quickly flew over. Song Yuyue had no fear and charged in a straight line. As the expert at the True Spirit Realm came, she slashed forwards. The clouds seemed to tear in half. However, although she was able to block the True Spirit Realm expert's blow, she was still injured. Luckily, the Cloud Sword clans noticed Song Yuyue and hurried over. The latter was almost slain by the True Spirit Realm but had escaped just in time. Yet, this also meant that the Cloud Sword clan attracted more people and their path of escape was harder. Compared to the Cloud Sword clan, the Broken Moon clan wasn't of any importance. They had reached the outer edges but were unable to shrug off the pursuers behind. The speed of the experts at True Spirit Realm were insanely fast, and it was fated that not all of them would be able to escape. First Elder and Granny Luiyue teamed up, and only then were they barely able to keep the 3 pursuers of the True Spirit Realm at bay. Hai Yun Master tried to kill Zhao Feng several times, but they all ended in failure. This was due to the fact that Zhao Feng's speed was insanely fast, and after comprehending the lightning barrier, his defense had increased. Furthermore, with Zhao Feng's current strength, he was able to exchange a blow or two with an expert of True Spirit Realm. First Elder and the few vice heads of the half-step True Spirit Realm all paid attention to protect Zhao Feng. First Elder told the vice heads in secret, "Even if we have to die, we still have to save Fenger. As long as he can survive, he'll take revenge for us." Although Zhao Feng didn't know what First Elder said, he could guess what the latter said from the clan's actions. First Elder, if you want to protect the lives of the younger generation, you'll all die together, Hai Yun Master said coldly. First Elder's strength was considered strong amongst the true human rank experts, and if he wanted to run himself, There wouldn't be much danger as long as he didn't face a few experts at the same cultivation. Don't even think about it. First Elder obviously knew what Haiyun Master meant and thrust forward, causing Haiyun Master to retreat. But amidst the exchange between the true spirit realms, there would be occasional casualty. Zhao Feng regained his calmness and opened his god's spiritual eye, occasional killing or severely injuring pursuers at the seventh sky. His battle power was even stronger than normal cultivators at half-step true spirit realm. Master, let me lead the way, Zhao Feng suddenly suggested as his god's spiritual eye glowed azure. It was as if it was an eagle's eye that could see through the heavens. Okay. First Elder gave him a deep glance. In reality, in this situation no one knew the correct path to survival, but everyone chose to believe in Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye could see very far and could see through things that weren't very thick. Northwest direction. Zhao Feng was responsible to lead the way. There was only 3 directions they could run in west, northwest, and southwest. There was a small group of enemies in the northwest direction, whereas the west and southwest direction didn't have many people there. The people from the Broken Moon clan didn't know why, but 2 experts at the true spirit realm who were pursuing them had strange looks. Although the west and southwest directions seemed to be empty, there was actually greater danger there. This was especially so for the west direction. There seemed to be no one there, but in reality there were 2 experts at the true human rank there who could assassinate a Broken Moon clan elder if they got the chance. The direction Zhao Feng chose was northwest, and there was a group of enemies there, including 2 cultivators at the half-step true spirit realm and a dozen at the 6th and 7th sky. This group was at the edge of the battle and responsible for clearing out those who had escaped. Although they weren't very strong, it was still a risk for the Broken Moon clan who was running away. Wind lightning destruction. Azure lightning flashed around Zhao Feng as he charged head first into enemy lines. Zhe, that brat's gone crazy. He knows we're here and is still running over. The 2 leaders at the half-step true spirit realm were surprised. The combined strength of their group could blow Zhao Feng into dust. 100 yards. 80 yards. 60 yards. Zhao Feng closed in swiftly and had left the Broken Moon clan group. From both sides it seemed like a risky move. 20 yards. Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly lit up, and as he opened his mouth, a clap of thunder along with mental energy shot towards the group. Not good. The expressions of the leading 2 half-step true spirit realms changed drastically as they felt their blood shake. Plop plop. The 3 cultivators at 6th and 7th sky who were at the front immediately died. Blood poured out from their eyes, noses, and mouth. Others who weren't prepared were also hit and almost fell down. This was only the start of the nightmare. This group from the Iron Dragon country had paid the price for underestimating their enemy. Zhao Feng instantly used his mental energy sound attack, and like a clap of thunder that broke the enemy's organization. 2 to 3 enemies were instantly killed and over half were lightly injured. The 2 leaders were full of regret. The youth in front of them was actually a dangerous character. But it was too late. Before they were able to calm down, Zhao Feng's eyes let out a glint as he circulated his bloodline power once again. Shua! The Yin shadow cloak flapped as Zhao Feng turned into an azure stripe, charging towards the enemy. The naked eye wasn't even able to see Zhao Feng. He had obviously held back before. Wind lightning destruction. Zhao Feng's face was dim. He seemed like a god of lightning as arcs of lightning surrounded him. This group, which had just recovered from the mental energy sound attack, was enveloped by strong surges of lightning causing their limbs to twitch. At the same time, a chaotic aura of lightning suppressed them. Due to the fact that Zhao Feng activated his bloodline power in that critical moment, apart from the 2 leaders, the others weren't able to fight back. Pong! Zhao Feng's lightning wind palm, which had reached the 7th level, instantly slew one of the leaders at the half-step true spirit realm. The other leader was severely injured and ran in panic. Chio! Zhao Feng's figure flickered through the air as it left several afterimages behind. Ah! Every flicker would result in the death of a cultivator of the 7th sky. A few breaths later, the entire group had been slaughtered. Both foe and friend alike sucked in a cold breath. This was a one-sided slaughter. At last, only the severely injured half-step true spirit realm leader was alive. Half of his body was burnt black and he was extremely frightened. Suddenly, he felt an uneasy coldness from Zhao Feng's left eye which scanned towards him. It was as if the eye could see through hearts. His mind shook, and although he sensed the aura of death, he didn't realize this was the last moment he would see the world. Plop! The leader at the half-step true spirit realm fell from the air and shattered his bones upon impact. The mental energy technique from Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye had exceeded Lin Tong's heavenly absent eye. Not a single person of the same cultivation as him was able to block his glance. The leader was severely injured and frightened. He was unable to resist. In just a short span of 10 breaths, the entire group had been killed by Zhao Feng alone. After destroying this group, the Broken Moon clan arrived. It was unknown whether this timing was coincidental or on purpose. The members of the Broken Moon clan were overjoyed. Their morals rose due to this. The pursuers from the Iron Dragon country were filled with coldness, and the three at true human rank gazed at Zhao Feng with wariness. Continue northwestwards. Zhao Feng continued to lead the way. His God's spiritual eye could see several hundred miles away. It was almost heaven-defying. After killing this group, there was nothing up ahead that could stop them anymore. The only danger lurked from behind. Hai Yun Master and 2 other cultivators at the True Spirit Realm kept on pursuing them. First Elder and Granny Luiwei gave their all and only barely blocked the pursuit of the 3 True Spirit Realms. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as his expression became solemn. As long as the 3 kept pursuing them, it was very unlikely for the Broken Moon clan to successfully escape. No matter how fast he wasn't faster than those at the True Spirit Realm and couldn't keep escaping for long. If it was just the 3 alone, the danger wasn't as critical, but he was scared that reinforcements from the Iron Dragon country would arrive. There was only 2 plans. 1. First Elder and Granny Lua block the 3 while the others scatter. 2. Slay or severely injured a True Spirit Realm cultivator so that they'd be forced to retreat. Up until now, there was only a few people pursuing them apart from the 3 great True Spirit Realm cultivators. Kill 1 at the True Spirit Realm. Zhao Feng continued analyzing their chances and found that the probability of success was very low. If there was only 2 experts at the True Spirit Realm pursuing them and had a 2v2 with the Broken Moon clan, Zhao Feng estimated that there was a 50% of success. But the problem was that there was 3 experts at the True Spirit Realm chasing them who easily suppressed the 2 from the Broken Moon clan. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's slaughtering of the group had raised the attention of the 3 experts, which prevented them from succeeding so easily. Therefore, the chances of succeeding in slaying one of the 3 was very low and might have to pay the price with his life. After all, Hai Yun Master definitely wanted Zhao Feng to die and probably wouldn't give up a chance so easily. These analyses flashed in Zhao Feng's mind. In reality, if Zhao Feng could think of this, so could First Elder. Fenger, you take everyone and run back to the Cloud Country. If the Cloud Country isn't safe, then leave the 13 countries. First Elder's urgent voice echoed in Zhao Feng's mind. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. First Elder wanted to use Plan 1, but would it succeed? Wind God vanquish, a deep voice sounded. Instantly, with First Elder as the center, beam after beam of green wind shot towards the 3 experts, forcing them to retreat. First Elder's aura suddenly rose and his chi of true spirit seemed to be burning. Old bastard, don't you want your life? You're burning the source of true spirit. Hai Yun Master was shocked and was hit by one of the beams, which caused his speed to decrease dramatically. At the same time, Granny Liu's aura rose rapidly and green light appeared, which wrapped themselves around the 3 at the true spirit realm like roots of a tree. With the burning of First Elder's source of true spirit, the entire situation was turned around. Hai Yun Master and co. were forced into a desperate situation. At the same time, when First Elder ignited his source of true spirit, he also took out the mid-grade spiritual weapon and focused on Hai Yun Master. The 2 from the Iron Dragon country had their own spiritual weapons and were able to resist, but Hai Yun Master didn't. Hence it left behind several bloody gashes on his body. First Elder, Master, the remaining people from the Broken Moon clan exclaimed. Especially Yang Gon, his eyes were wet and his hands were trembling. First Elder's burning his source of true spirit. This is the foundation for those at the True Spirit Realm. When it's used up, there's the danger of dropping in cultivation. The breaths of the vice heads became rapid as tears flowed from their eyes. Everyone follow me. A cold voice resounded in everyone's mind. The speaker was Zhao Feng. His words seemed to contain an indefinable power. Zhao Feng, how can you be so heartless? First Elder is your master. We can't leave him. Yang Gon and the vice heads cried out. Go! First Elder's voice sounded in everyone's minds. If it wasn't because of you guys dragging him down, Master could easily retreat. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye scanned over Yang Gon and company. After saying this, he turned around and left. The hearts of Yang Gon and company shook, but it was unknown whether it was due to the god's spiritual eye's pressure or Zhao Feng's coldness. Although everyone was unsatisfied, they still listened to Zhao Feng. This was a youth who had created miracles and won first place in the Alliance Banquet. He gave others a feeling of trust and reliance. However, Zhao Feng's display was too cold. There was no sign of him worrying. He doesn't even care about his master's life when his life is on the line. One of the vice heads murmured. Zhao Feng was too disdainful to explain. Because of the opening of his god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng had entered a calm and rational state, throwing away human emotions. Under this situation, Zhao Feng undertook the best possible actions. Everything First Elder and Granny Luiyue did was for them to escape. Otherwise, with their strength, escaping wouldn't hard. The further we run, the faster Master and Granny Luiyue can retreat and reduce the amount of yuan qi spent. Zhao Feng's mind was clear. Before he left, he used the god's spiritual eye and shot 2 lights towards First Elder and Granny Luiyue. Both First Elder and Granny Luiyue found a mental energy mark on them, which maintained a mysterious relationship between them and Zhao Feng. That brat's mind is still so clear even in such a dangerous situation. First Elder and Granny Luiyue exchanged glances and saw praise and warmth in each other's eyes. Zhao Feng seemed cold, but he had secretly left 2 mental energy marks on the 2 elders. Therefore, the 2 sides could still help each other. Zhao Feng didn't give up on the 2 elders. Instead, he had it planned out better than everyone else. Run. Zhao Feng led the group and headed towards complex landscapes. As long as they escaped, First Elder and Granny Luiyue wouldn't be in so much danger anymore. Hours later, the group had left the dragon concealing lake and entered a complex mountain full of forest. Zhao Feng let out a breath. They were safe, and through the god's spiritual eye, he could sense that both First Elder and Granny Luiyue were still alive. But right at this moment, Zhao Feng's forehead twitched as he felt uneasy. At the same time, a disgusting feeling surged. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared and opened its mouth as it glanced around. Junior, you have the ghost mark on you. I can sense it from 1,000 miles away. A short elder holding a wooden cane stood on the tree in front. He appeared like a ghost out of nowhere. Who are you? The hearts of the Broken Moon clan went cold. This short person had caught up to them without them even realizing. Only Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat felt something. Ghost mark. Zhao Feng grinded his teeth. The disgusting, sickly feeling was left by the mysterious skeleton. Even now, he was unable to break this ghost mark. It was hard to imagine what level the mysterious skeleton was at. This old man is the 4th elder of the ancient shrine and is here to capture you under the order of the Grand Elder. Brat, are you going to sit still and let me capture you, or are you going to make me move? The short elder said slowly, as if victory was already in grasp. The forest was dead silent. The breaths from everyone of the Broken Moon clan turned bitter as the aura of death surrounded them. Were they really going to sit there and wait to be captured? Zhao Feng felt bitter as his mind analyzed the situation, but under normal situations, the dozen of them wouldn't be able to escape unless they had 2 to 3 Zhao Feng or Zhang Yue ranked existences. Only then would they be able to fight against the someone of true spirit realm. Or maybe under a chaotic situation would Zhao Feng have the chance to survive. However, the problem was that the short elder's target was him. Meow meow. The little thieving cat flipped the bronze coin even under such a dire situation. One could tell how much of a miser he was. Meow meow. The little thieving cat put away the coin excitedly. as if the future was looking bright. Zhao Feng almost hit it. The enemy was right in front of them and it was just playing around. Hong Long. Right at this moment the sky went dim and the clouds moved. Walalala. It started raining and from the sky came the sound of thunder. It was raining at this time. The hearts of everyone from the Broken Moon clan fell. Thunder, rain, weather? Zhao Feng murmured to himself as the bitterness in his heart disappeared and was replaced by joy. The heavens always leave a path. In the forest, the sky became dim and the crackle of thunder echoed as rain poured down. The hearts of the Broken Moon clan's members were already terrible enough and the rain had made it even worse. Is the heavens closing its eyes on us? Making us get wet like dogs before we die? Vice Head Li and company were full of sorrow. The short elder's eyebrows furrowed as he stood on the tree. When the rain came near him, it was pushed away by his chi of true spirit. Obviously, his mood was also affected by the weather. Meow meow. The little thieving cat happily played with the bronze coin in its paw without concern of danger. Zhao Feng lifted his head and let the rain pour down on his face, wetting his clothes. On his face was a smile. All of you retreat. This one would like to see the strength of a person at true spirit realm. Zhao Feng's azure hair blew in the wind as an eruptive aura gradually emanated from him. Although he had just entered the seventh sky, the pressure Zhao Feng emitted was even stronger than those at the half-step true spirit realm. Junior brother Zhao, how can you block an expert at the true spirit realm alone? Let's fight together, Yang Gon and Vice Head Li exclaimed. At this moment, the hearts of the members of the Broken Moon clan were somewhat filled with guilt. They were just talking about how heartless Zhao Feng was during their escape, but at this dangerous moment it was Zhao Feng who stepped out. All of you retreat. I alone am enough. Zhao Feng's cold eyes scanned across the people. As his words finished, a whirl of wind pushed them away. At the same time, the Yin shadow cloak on Zhao Feng's back fluttered as he became an azure streak of lightning, occasionally flickering as he sped through the air. Hee little tricks. The short elder thought that Zhao Feng was trying to escape and snickered. With the snap of his two fingers, two purple snakes made of air quickly darted towards Zhao Feng. The latter, who was in mid-air, felt cold. Wind, lightning, destruction. Zhao Feng circulated his true force and bloodline power to the maximum and a glass-like tattoo appeared on his body, causing his attributes to rise to its peak. Wind and lightning interacted, creating a whirlwind of lightning which enveloped the short elder's attack. Shwa. The two purple snakes seemed to have consciousness and had actually passed through the pull of wind and lightning. However, its color had dimmed by 60 to 70%. But the two streaks of purple still leapt towards Zhao Feng. Shoo! Zhao Feng's expression changed as he condensed a lightning barrier around him. He was able to evade one of the streaks but had to block the second one. Even though the attack had been weakened to 20 to 30% of its original power, it still caused Zhao Feng to harumph. The other streak passed through several enormous trees, and these trees didn't move, but there was a perfect hole from where the snake passed through. Attacks formed from the chi of true spirit are unbelievably strong. Even just a wisp of the true force can kill someone at the ascended realm. The lightning barrier around Zhao Feng became fainter by over half before it started to heal. He had used all his power to dissolve a casual move made by an expert at the true spirit realm. From this, one could see the difference that cultivation brought. Even the ascended realm had great differences between every sky. But this was just the difference between one sky. The difference between the ascended realm and true spirit realm was enormous. The gap couldn't be closed in on unless one wasn't human. The short elder was slightly surprised. He had thought that his attack would have easily taken down Zhao Feng, but it had been dissolved by the latter. The short elder had seen people who were able to block an attack from someone at the true spirit realm, but it was the first time to see someone uninjured when they did so. I'm only able to exchange 4 to 5 moves against someone at the true spirit realm. Even under normal circumstances 10 would be the maximum. Zhao Feng took a deep breath as he felt the difference between the two. He didn't know that this was incredible in the eyes of those at the true spirit realm. Interesting. No wonder you caught the attention of division leader, who even put a ghost mark on you. Interest appeared in the short elder's eyes. Division leader? Hearing this, Zhao Feng's heart shook as he suddenly remembered the mysterious skeleton in the sky cloud forest. At that time, the Blood Corpse Protector seemed to be very respectful to this person which he estimated to be a subdivision leader. But from the short elder's mouth, he finally knew that the skeleton was a division leader. Division leader. In the Scarlet Moon religion, that was easily the high authority, and their strength was immeasurable. At their pinnacle, they might have even been at the origin core realm. As he thought to this point, Zhao Feng took a deep breath. It was good that the mysterious skeleton seemed extremely weak and was only able to put a ghost mark on him, unable to take care of him himself. But even under such a weakened state, the ghost mark wasn't even able to be removed by First Elder. From this one could see profound he was. Youngster, let's see how many moves you can take. The short elder's hands clasped together, and a dark purple snake appeared around his body, which gave off a terrifying cold aura. Zhao Feng understood that the short elder's attacks contained the erosion of mental energy. After all, he came from the ancient shrine. It was good that Zhao Feng was very resilient towards mental energy, and using his bloodline power, he once again became a blur that flew into the air. I can't drag this out any longer. Zhao Feng glanced at the clouds in the sky and the rain and lightning. No one knew how long they would last. 9 tribulations. Lightning wind palm. Zhao Feng exclaimed as the true force within him began to tremble and the arcs of lightning started to move. At the same instant, Zhao Feng tried to interact with the lightning yuan qi in the air above. According to what the lightning wind palm said, there was a chance to summon the 9 tribulations lightning when the weather was full of rain and lightning. It was all about luck. Under this situation, 90% of the cultivators were struck by lightning and died. At best, they would die with the enemy. However, Zhao Feng's lightning wind palm had been advanced and contained the lightning intent. The 7th level was the highest level and could summon the 9 tribulations power, whose power was immeasurable. But even then, Zhao Feng took a risk. The success rate wasn't 100%. However, the later had gained some comprehension in the origin core ruins and understood how to use lightning better, once again changing the original lightning wind palm. What's going on? Why is the lightning yuan qi condensing together? The short elder's figure stopped as he felt an abnormal aura. Hong long. Thunder clapped in the cloud. Chio. An arc of lightning tens of yards wide and as thick as a tree flew past Zhao Feng's head. This brat's gone crazy. Using lightning to kill himself. The short elder was full of shock as he retreated subconsciously. 9 tribulations. Lightning wind palm. Zhao Feng's palm thrust out and the 9 tribulations lightning turned towards the short elder. What? The short elder was stunned and his face instantly went white. The power from the 9 tribulations lightning made his blood freeze. What's going on? How can this brat summon the lightning of nature? The short elder furiously circulated his chi of true spirit as he tried to escape. Boom! The 9 tribulation lightning didn't strike him directly, but a portion of it still hit him. The short elder harumphed as his shoulder became burnt and emitted black smoke. 9 tribulations. Lightning wind palm. Zhao Feng put both hands into the air and summoned 2 arcs of lightning towards the shorty. The short elder's expression was extremely ugly as he tried to dodge, but in the end, he was still scraped by a 9 tribulations lightning, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. This attack caused the short elder to be seriously injured and expend a lot of yuan qi to block the lightning. He finally escaped several miles out, which was out of Zhao Feng's offense range. His body was charred black and was severely injured. How could this have happened? Could it be the weather? The short elder's expression changed. It wasn't hard for him to guess the truth. At this moment, the short elder's yuan qi had been expended and his body was severely injured. If he didn't heal himself quickly, there would be problems which could even cause his cultivation to drop. Run! The short elder was extremely frustrated and flew away. With his tattered body, he wasn't confident that he could beat Zhao Feng. Furthermore, there was still the group of others there, who, Zhao Feng descended from the air, exhausted. It might have seemed cool and easy to control the 9 tribulations lightning, but under normal circumstances, 1 or 2 arcs of lightning was the limit. It was due to the fact that he had the god's spiritual eye and had gained insights in the ruins which allowed him to be able to summon around 10 arcs. But the effect was unimaginable. Just then, Zhao Feng had almost slain an expert at the true spirit realm. The 9 tribulations lightning is, after all, the power of nature. I can't control it as I please. Zhao Feng let out a long breath. When he landed on the ground, the members of the Broken Moon clan were dazed and the core disciples still seemed to be dreaming. Vice Head Li's mouth was wide open. It was the first time he had seen such a scene. The events that had just occurred had defied logic. A junior at the Ascended Realm had seriously injured an expert at the True Spirit Realm, forcing the latter to retreat. No one would believe him if he said this. In the forest, amidst the lightning and rain, the escaping group from the Broken Moon clan were soaked, but not a sign of unhappiness were on their faces. On the contrary, it was filled with joy and surprise. When the expert at the True Spirit Realm had descended, they thought they would die. However, their deaths didn't occur, and it was all because of that youth. Zhao Feng's breathing was rapid and his face was paler than before. However, his expression was still calm and his eyes continued to sharply inspect the area. At this moment, although everyone gazed towards Zhao Feng as if they were looking at a monster, their eyes were filled with respect and gratitude. "Go!" Zhao Feng gently said as he led the way at the front. The entire group continued to run under Zhao Feng's command, and although the latter was feeling weak, the speed he traveled at wasn't slow. 2 hours. Half a day. 1 day, 1 night. Zhao Feng barely rested and squeezed the energy out of the group. Following this path, the group didn't come across any dangers. Not a single Yao beast was encountered. Although the group's mind started spinning as they entered the maze-like forest, Zhao Feng, who was at the front, was calm and composed. His left eye gleamed with an azure light as though he could see through everything. Whenever the path seemed like a dead end, Zhao Feng would surprise them. Yonggan thought that this had something to do with Brother Zhao's bloodline power. Finally, at this day, under Zhao Feng's command, everyone was allowed to rest for half a day. The group was exhausted, and Ran Xiaoyuan as well as Lin Fan, who had weaker cultivations, had almost fainted. Zhao Feng's eyes scanned over the group and thought, the place we're currently at is about 10,000 miles away from the battle. The ghost mark can only be sensed within a 1,000 miles radius. The short elder before had been severely injured and his body was almost fully destroyed. If he didn't recover quickly, it could leave permanent injuries on him. Due to the fact that the Iron Dragon country was cleansing the 13 clans, the most they could do to deal with Zhao Feng was to send one expert at the True Spirit Realm to kill him. Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng's heart was full of confidence. For hours later, after resting for a while, they had mostly recovered and their faces looked better. Brother Zhao, although we've escaped, Master and them, Yonggan was full of worry. After the death of the Broken Moon clan master, First Elder had become the core of the clan. Additionally, due to Hai Yun Master's betrayal, the Broken Moon clan's strength decreased massively. They're still alive. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye focused in a certain direction and sent out a wisp of azure light that contained mental energy. It seemed to be able to reach the other side. Unknowingly, the group felt safe when they heard Zhao Feng's words. Zhao Feng, however, was still worried. Alive. But this didn't mean that they had escaped nor that they were safe. Being an expert at the True Spirit Realm, the people pursuing First Elder and Granny Luiwe would be much stronger. How about this? Vice Headley will stay behind while the others will follow Brother Yang back to the Broken Moon clan in order to warn them to strengthen their defenses. If something seems to be wrong with the Broken Moon clan, you guys should hide in the Sky Cloud Forest or leave the 13 countries. Zhao Feng ordered. At this moment, Zhao Feng's authority was unshakable. Brother Zhao, be careful. Yonggan looked deeply at Zhao Feng as the others followed the path back to the Broken Moon clan. On the spot, only Zhao Feng and Vice Head Li was left behind. Before they left, Ran Xiaoyuan and Lin Fan were full of care and worry. It wasn't hard to imagine why the strongest two of the group were left behind. They stayed behind in order to help First Elder and Granny Luiwe. The reason as to why Zhao Feng left Vice Head Li behind was that he was trustworthy and his strength was close to his own. If First Elder and Granny Luiyue were pursued by someone of the true spirit realm, the two of them could help a bit. Let's head that way. Zhao Feng immediately chose a direction as though God was guiding him. Vice Head Li followed silently behind. He didn't have any ill feelings but felt as if he understood something in life. Back then Zhao Feng had only just become an inner disciple and was a youth struggling at the bottom of the clan. But now, just a while later, the youth had risen above him. Every decision Zhao Feng made him feel confident and safe. A few hours later, the two arrived at a cliff. It's here. Zhao Feng jumped off the cliff and began to fly. With the help of the Yin Shadow Cloak, he was able to fly for a short amount of time. Being at the half-step true spirit realm, Vice Head Li could also do this and closely followed behind. Tens of breaths later Zhao Feng and Vice Head Li arrived at a concealed cave. Right at this moment, an aura of the true spirit realm descended, which caused Vice Head Li's heart to shake and reveal an expression of fear. "Master, it's me." Zhao Feng's voice traveled inside the cave, and the aura instantly disappeared. "Come in." A cough came First Elder who was within the cave. Zhao Feng and Vice Head Li entered the cave was stunned by the scene. First Elder's face was dry and his hair was white. His body was dyed in dried blood and his right arm was dismembered. "First Elder, your arm." Vice Head Li gazed at the area where the right arm should be. Granny Liu's face was pale white and said bitterly, "First Elder used the price of his right arm to kill an opponent at the true spirit realm." From this scene, one could imagine how terrifying that battle was. Zhao Feng silently walked in front of First Elder. "Fenger, the Broken Moon clan saved most of our strength, and the important thing is that we survived from this disaster." First Elder's face was filled with praise, but his voice was slightly weak. Vice Head Li then told the story of their escape, which caused First Elder and Granny Luiyue to be overjoyed. The two exchanged glances and smiled. "What's an arm compared to my disciple?" Next, First Elder and Granny Luiyue exchanged glances and seemed to be discussing something. "You mean?" Granny Luiyue seemed shocked. "That's right, the Sky Cloud Forest area is too small. Plus, this decision must be made to ensure his safety," First Elder said decisively. First Elder and Granny Luiyue both nodded their heads as if they had come to an agreement. Zhao Feng felt that his destiny was being discussed by the two. An hour later, after First Elder's injuries were slightly better, he called Zhao Feng to one side. "Fenger, the Broken Moon clan is in danger right now, and I have a secret mission for you." First Elder's expression was solemn and his eyes were full of hope and expectation. "I agree." Zhao Feng didn't ask what the mission was. After the merging of the god's spiritual eye, he had become calmer and colder, but his emotions didn't change. First Elder was one of the most important people in his life and had protected him in the clan. This time, First Elder had put his life on the line and had lost an arm in order to protect Zhao Feng and company. Even if it was for gratitude, Zhao Feng would agree to his master's demands. Furthermore, Zhao Feng was sure that what master asked would be for his own good. First Elder looked deeply at Zhao Feng. There was no need for words. He knew what his disciple was like from a simple action. He felt even more lucky for such a good disciple. There would be no regrets. "You've seen the power of the Iron Dragon country. It's not something the 13 clans can stand up to. Furthermore, it was under the support of the Scarlet Moon religion," First Elder said. Zhao Feng nodded his head and guessed within his mind. "Therefore, I've decided to send you to the Northern Continent clans for help." First Elder continued. "Help." Zhao Feng confirmed his guesses. The current situation was pretty grim for the 13 clans. After defeating the Sky Rich country, the Iron Dragon country was still able to send forces to fight the 13 clans. The control of the situation caused others to feel cold. This meant that the 13 clans was only hit by the remains of the battle between the two countries. This place wasn't even a war zone, it couldn't even be considered a battlefield. Who would we ask for help? Zhao Feng didn't know much of the situation apart from the Sky Cloud area. There's around 50 countries as strong as the Iron Dragon country and Sky Rich country. Of course, there's also countries several times stronger than them. But above strong countries, there's also great countries. First Elder paused slightly. Small countries, strong countries, great countries. The picture appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. The 13 countries were definitely small countries, unimportant to anyone. No small country was able to block strong countries. The clans in the Iron Dragon country could easily crush the 13 clans. However, countries as strong as the Iron Dragon country and Sky Rich country weren't at the peak, because above them were great countries. There are other strong countries near the Sky Cloud Forest area. If they're willing to help, the danger in the 13 clans will be resolved. If you're able to gain help from the Canopy Great Country, this matter will be solved easily. First Elder smiled as he answered. He then took out a map of the northern continent. The map was filled with zones and areas. Where's the 13 countries? Zhao Feng copied the map with his left eye and finally found the 13 countries at the right bottom of the map. Their territory was the size of a dot. However, strong countries such as the Iron Dragon country and Sky Rich country had obvious markings. It depends on luck whether or not you'll be able to get help. The continent is enormous, and without enough resources or money, the other countries might not be bothered to come. As he spoke up to this point, First Elder's words turned. Asking for assistance isn't the main goal. I have something else of greater importance to tell you. As he spoke, a light flashed in First Elder's eyes, but it soon dimmed down as his expression changed incessantly. At this moment, First Elder was immersed in his memories and expressions of solitude. Mockery, regret, and hate flashed across his face. Ever since he had become First Elder's disciple, this was the first time Zhao Feng had seen his master have such complex expressions. I'm guilty to say this, but this mission also regards my personal affairs. First Elder regained his composure and took out half a hairbrush made from crystal and handed it to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng gently touched the hairbrush and noticed that it was made of a special material which made it comparable to a mid-grade mortal weapon. A mid-grade mortal weapon wasn't much for the most powerful elder in the clan. However, First Elder's fingers trembled slightly as he handed it over. First Elder then immediately took out a pen and paper, then quickly wrote a letter to which he gave to Zhao Feng. You need to hand this letter and half of this hairbrush to the Lu family of the Canopy Great Country. If the situation in the 13 countries is unable to be saved, this person will help you because of our relationship. First Elder solemnly spoke. Zhao Feng's eyes scanned across the letter and saw a few words on it. Lu Qinxin. Open only. A letter, half a hairbrush. Both going to the Canopy Great Country. What was the relationship between the receiver and master? Although Zhao Feng was curious, he didn't ask. Even if it was for gratitude, Zhao Feng would complete this task without hesitation. Furthermore, First Elder was obviously caring for Zhao Feng. Could be said that it was specifically made for him. Looking from another perspective, with Zhao Feng's talent, staying in the 13 countries would only restrict his growth. But if he was able to enter bigger and greater lands, maybe he'd have a different future. You must leave the 13 countries within 2 months. Moreover, to allow secrecy, you won't be able to see anyone from now on. First Elder said strictly. Master means that I can't talk to the people of the clan again? It would be best not to do so. First Elder sighed, then added, as for your family, I'll help them. If you don't have any worries left, you can leave. Hearing this, Zhao Feng's expression finally changed. Why did First Elder talk as though he was going to die? Could the Broken Moon clan and the Alliance not have a single chance of hope? I don't know whether the Alliance can be saved in the future, but I know it definitely can't at this time. First Elder shook his head bitterly as he glanced deeply at his disciple. Zhao Feng started to understand his master's words. He was putting the hope and future into his hands. However, Zhao Feng still didn't believe that the 13 clans could not be saved. He thought in his heart, is master thinking too much in a bad perspective? First Elder seemed to understand his suspicions, but he didn't answer them directly. Instead he said, the 13 clans might team up to fight against the Iron Dragon country. However, you alone won't affect a battle of this scale. Do you understand my intentions? This disciple understands. From the current situation, This mission has only positives for me and no negatives. Zhao Feng's thoughts quickly changed as he agreed. First Elder's words were right. Even if Zhao Feng stayed within the Sky Cloud Forest, he would be unimportant. Even experts at the true human rank were not safe in battles of this scale. Cultivators at Ascended Realm were the bottom soldiers and even cannon fodders. They would pose no threat at all to the enemy at all. Since I have no use here, why not go and concentrate on the mission? Shua! And blur of azure flickered as Zhao Feng left the cave. Not long after Zhao Feng left, Granny Luiyue appeared next to First Elder. You'll lower your head to beg for help from that person? Granny Luiyue was in disbelief. First Elder didn't say anything. All he did was look at the direction of Zhao Feng's departure, immersed in deep thought. Oh well, your actions leave the 13 clans with a thread of hope. For Zhao Feng, there's no downsides. Firstly, he was able to leave the muddled 13 countries, and secondly, he was able to enter the true stage of the northern continent. Granny Luiyue sighed. As she thought about the matter, if she had such a good disciple, maybe she would also go to such lengths to open a path for them. But First Elder's preparation was much better and had connections even in great countries. Half a day later, Zhao Feng entered the Sky Cloud Forest alone. On the way, he saw the group from the Broken Moon clan with his god's spiritual eye from several hundred miles away. Yang Gon, Ran Xiaoyuan, Lin Fan and company were still on the journey back. But Zhao Feng didn't have any intentions of greeting them. The Broken Moon clan, Cloud Country, leaving in this manner and vanishing from the sights of everyone. Zhao Feng's heart was unwilling and desolate. He had grew up in the Cloud Country and had never left the area apart from the 13 clan alliance banquet. But logic told Zhao Feng that there would only be downsides if he stayed. The 13 clans have fallen into a dangerous whirlpool. I'm unable to change the situation with my power. Furthermore, I also have the ghost mark on me, so that makes me more dangerous for me than everyone else. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. Ever since the Floating Crest trial, Zhao Feng had risen and then took first place in the Alliance banquet not long ago. Such achievements made him confident. But at this moment he felt helpless. Facing the entire situation, what he could do could be ignored, and if not done right, he would lose his life. When I finally have true power, maybe I can control the destiny of this place. Zhao Feng suddenly had the urge for power. Meow meow. The little thieving cat sat lazily on Zhao Feng's shoulder. Compared to when it had just been hatched, the little thieving cat had only grown a little bit, so much that it could be ignored. It was still the size of a palm. This growth speed was unbelievably slow. Meow meow. As though it felt Zhao Feng's loneliness, the little thieving cat covered Zhao Feng's face, then jumped around happily in the forest. Zhao Feng had the heart to race the little thieving cat, but without using the Yin Shadow Cloak and his bloodline power, Zhao Feng was only on par with the cat. However, in terms of agility, Zhao Feng was nowhere near. Furthermore, the little thieving cat could turn invisible and his attributes would all rise in the night. Of course, the little thieving cat would still occasionally throw out the coin, which seemed to be able to calculate the future. The human and cat passed through the Sky Cloud Forest, but Zhao Feng didn't decide to immediately leave the 13 countries. The time limit First Elder gave Zhao Feng was 2 months, and Zhao Feng still had his own problems which he needed to finish. Firstly, his cultivation had risen 2 skies in the Alliance banquet and needed to be consolidated. Secondly, the ghost mark was a problem which needed to be taken care of. It was the second problem that caused his head to hurt. The mysterious skeleton was actually a division leader. Back when the Scarlet Moon demonic religion was at its peak, a subdivision alone was able to sweep the 13 clans and even destroy a strong country. Division leaders were unfathomable. On this day, Zhao Feng entered a misty zone. This was the outer edges of the 100 Graves forbidden ground. Going closer would be the ground of bones where the curse was. The misty forest had a mysterious power which could restrict one's senses. Even experts at the true spirit realm would have their senses restrained. I'll cultivate here first. It should be safe. Zhao Feng found a corner and sat down. Half a month later, Zhao Feng had consolidated his cultivation. The progression of 2 skies in such a short amount of time was too rash. Everything had its ups and downs. While Zhao Feng was consolidating his cultivation, he noticed that the potential in his body had been pushed down and progressing would be harder. This was the downside of breaking through with the help of items. Luckily, he didn't have any intentions of breaking through in a short amount of time. There were many older people in the clans that stayed at this level for decades or even their entire lives. The gap between true spirit realm and ascended realm was enormous. To break through, one must have fortune, potential, talent, and luck. After another half a day of cultivation, Zhao Feng's cultivation had stabilized, but the increase in his potential was limited. After consolidating his foundation came the main problem, the ghost mark. Zhao Feng could just sense the existence of the ghost mark when he opened his god's spiritual eye, but with his cultivation and mastery in mental energy, it wasn't enough to break this mark. The difficulty was equal to breaking through to true spirit realm. However, Zhao Feng didn't give up. He focused on mental energy techniques and what he had learned in the Alliance Banquet. Unknowingly, his mastery in mental energy had far exceeded skills like the heart-controlling technique. During the time Zhao Feng's was focusing on mental energy, the situation in the 13 countries had undergone a huge change. A part of the 13 clans' experts had succeeded in escaping, or more precisely the 12 clans. After half a month of planning, the forces of the 12 clans attacked the Concealed Dragon River. At this moment, the Concealed Dragon River had become the Iron Dragon Country's stronghold. But the weird thing was that the Iron Dragon Country didn't send many experts or soldiers over. The forces of the 12 clans at that moment had exceeded the Iron Dragon Countries. The battle began. The 12 clans confidently forced the Iron Dragon Country back. But right at this moment, a miscalculation appeared. An unrivaled expert appeared at the Iron Dragon Country's side. True Lord rank. The descension of a true lord. At that time, the forces of the 12 clans were double in comparison to the Iron Dragon Country's side. But when the true lord descended, every advantage disappeared. Those at true lord rank could flip the clouds and summon rain. Had the ability to settle the battle. No one knew how powerful a true lord was. They only knew that the higher echelons at the true spirit realm surrendered without much resistance. At the center of the Concealed Dragon River, the elders of the 12 clans had all surrendered. Bitterness and helplessness covered their faces. Hovering in the air was a youth. He held a metal fan and had sharp and icy eyes. The weirdest part about him was the layer of metal that had overlapped his skin. Even his clothes and hair seemed to be metallic. The cold and metallic aura infiltrated the space nearby, seemingly freezing it. Not a single breeze of wind was present. Tai Xiao, true lord. The 12 clans have surrendered and are willing to serve the Iron Dragon strong country. Are you going to kill all of us? The Grand Elder of the Cloud Sword clan suppressed his anger as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. As a sword cultivator of the true mystic rank, he had slashed towards Tai Xiao True Lord's body and had caused sparks to fly. But the opponent was uninjured. Instead, he had been hit by a terrifying rebounding force. The other elders of the 12 clans were furious, however. They didn't retaliate nor did they have any thoughts of resistance. The realm of True Lord was too far away from them. First Elder of the Broken Moon clan side. In the past, the Iron Dragon Country and the Sky Rich Country only had one expert of True Lord rank, hence they were balanced. Now, however, the Iron Dragon Country had another True Lord rank expert, hence they were able to instantly change the situation. The birth of a True Lord rank expert had affected the situation across the entire area. They stood at the peak, and every thought or action could influence the lives of hundreds of millions of people. Tai Xiao True Lord hovered in midair but remained quiet. The mysterious black figure from the Iron Dragon Country took out a blank scroll several yards long. This is a blood pact scroll. All the cultivators at the true spirit realm present here are to sign it. The mysterious black figure said. Massacring the 12 clans held no benefits for the Iron Dragon Country. Moreover, to exterminate the roots of the 12 clans wouldn't be easy. The best solution was to make these forces serve them. The elders of the 12 clans gazed at each other. Helplessness filled their eyes. The blood pact scroll was similar to a letter of surrender but had a stronger effect. Once they signed this scroll, they would be restrained. after half the time it took for tea to be made. The higher echelons of the 12 clans signed the Blood Pact scroll one by one. As for the ancient shrine, they were originally a subdivision of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion and were on the Iron Dragon countryside. They didn't need to participate. Xiao Tai Xiao, true lord who was hovering in mid-air, expressionlessly turned into a flashing blur that merged into the sky. The true lord didn't even appear for an hour, and had not even made any moves but had turned the situation around. The news of the 12 clans' surrender soon spread across the 13 countries. The experts of the Iron Dragon country soon entered the 12 clans, and the high echelons of each clan started to change. Amongst them was the Broken Moon clan. Hai Yun Master became the Broken Moon clan master, and was the representative of the Iron Dragon strong country. Due to the fact that First Elder had lost an arm during the battle and had burned his source of true spirit, which resulted in his cultivation decreasing, he became low-key. Hai Yun Master, who had gained the trust of the Iron Dragon strong country and had the support of the Regulations Elder, soon became the person with the most authority. After becoming the clan master, Hai Yun Master soon gave out an order: kill the traitor Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng broke the rules of the clan, disrespected his elders, and ran away. If captured alive, take him back to the clan. If he resists, kill him. Hai Yun Master's emotionless voice echoed across the hall. This order was soon known by everyone. The clan had also listed high rewards to kill or capture Zhao Feng. Just giving traces of Zhao Feng rewarded the person with 10,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. This was not a small sum even for experts at true human rank. As for capturing or killing Zhao Feng, the bounty was 10 times higher. First Elder and Granny Luiwei became low-key and silent towards everything that happened in the clan. Because Hai Yun Master couldn't find any faults and wasn't complete confident that he could take them down, he didn't do anything. At this time, the hearts of everyone from the Broken Moon clan trembled, but Hai Yun Master was very skilled. He gave rewards and punished others fairly, winning the hearts of some people. Sky Cloud Forest, Misty Area. Zhao Feng had been comprehending mental energy techniques and trying to dissolve the ghost mark on him. As long as the ghost mark stays on me, I'll be in danger. If that mysterious skeleton recovers back to its peak strength. Zhao Feng read through all the mental energy techniques in his mind, but there was no solution. An entire month had passed since his cultivation had been consolidated. Zhao Feng's mastery of mental energy had increased and started to understand the ghost mark a bit. The ghost mark is similar to the mysterious power of the cures of 100 graves, but the ghost mark does not have offensive attributes. It only leaves a mark on me. Therefore the god spiritual I didn't resist on instinct. Zhao Feng finally understood something. He had another plan, and that was to use the power of the curse of 100 graves to break the ghost mark. However, the curse of 100 graves was too dangerous and Zhao Feng needed to be very careful. Half a day later, Zhao Feng entered the curse of 100 graves once again, and the invisible cold power tried to enter his body. However, this power was forced back by the aura from the god's spiritual eye. Meow meow. Zhao Feng retrieved the little thieving cat and let it calculate their fortune. The little thieving cat nodded its head as it took out the coin with a proud face before flipping it into the air and catching it with its paws. After catching the coin, the little thieving cat furrowed its eyebrows. It nodded its head at times, but also shook it at other times. The connection between Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat was very special. Hence he knew that the answer was blurry. Even the little thieving cat couldn't give an exact answer. We'll have to give it a try. Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat didn't see the destiny of dying. Of course, this was assumed that the little thieving cat's prediction skills were still working. Zhao Feng then sat down and used his god's spiritual eye to sense the ghost mark. At the same time, he circulated his bloodline power and merged the azure blood into the dimension of his left eye, blocking it. Once the azure abyss was blocked, Zhao Feng's eye would return to its original black and dim color. This meant that Zhao Feng was closing the god's spiritual eye's power. As expected, once it was fully blocked, the power of the curse sneaked up from behind Zhao Feng. The latter hiccuped as he immediately circulated his bloodline power so that not all of the azure abyss was blocked. But even then, a wisp of the curse touched Zhao Feng's body. Zhao Feng's body went cold. It was as if there was countless hands, wet with blood reaching towards his organs. At that critical point, Zhao Feng circulated his mental energy and purposely attracted the curse. The curse seemed to have a consciousness which would allow it to enter the flaws of the target, just like how water would flow out of a hole. The flaw Zhao Feng revealed was the location of the ghost mark. Tung tung tung. A weird sound seemed to echo. If Zhao Feng could open his god's spiritual eye, he could see hand after hand reaching into his body. If it wasn't because a part of the god's spiritual eye was still working, Zhao Feng would have been infested with the hands. Time passed slowly by and Zhao Feng's life force started to weaken as his face went pale. He could only circulate his bloodline power to fortify himself. The bloodline power could somewhat protect him, but only a small amount could be used since the other part was blocking the azure abyss. However, his true force was weakening due to the curse. Seeing this situation, Zhao Feng wanted to give up, but he noticed that the ghost mark's aura was also dropping. Zhao Feng's life force and true force was weakening along with the ghost mark. It was good that Zhao Feng still had the protection of his bloodline power. This prevented Zhao Feng's source of life from disappearing. 3 days later, Zhao Feng spat out a breath and retracted the azure blood in the dimension of his left eye. At the same time, although the ghost mark fully disappeared, his true force level had also dropped. Was it worth it? Zhao Feng murmured to himself as he glanced at the little thieving cat on his shoulder. While breaking the ghost mark, Zhao Feng's cultivation had dropped to the 6th sky. The little thieving cat squinted its eyes but didn't respond. Zhao Feng found that although his cultivation had dropped, his foundation was more solid and his potential was larger compared to when he was at the 7th sky. This was like building a tower. The better built the lower levels was, the higher the tower could go. This was the feeling Zhao Feng had right now. The breakthrough of 2 skies in the Alliance Banquet was too rushed, but now this problem didn't exist. Although Zhao Feng had dropped a sky, his foundation and potential were better and the ghost mark had disappeared. 1 peck, 1 drink. It was as if heavens had destined so. At the same time, on a mysterious altar in the Iron Dragon Strong country, the ghost mark has been broken. How is this possible? Did someone of the Origin Core realm do this? A hoarse voice resounded. This voice seemed to freeze one's soul, and cultivators at the true human rank would hiccup here. The owner of the voice was a black gold-robed skeleton whose bones were silver with the occasional flash of dark purple. No, that's the power of the curse of 100 graves. The skeleton division leader's expression changed. Division leader, no one can escape from the curse of 100 graves. The person is obviously dead. A silver-striped blood corpse laughed at the side. The skeleton division leader nodded its head. If the person died, the ghost mark would disappear as well. Division leader, about that curse of 100 graves, the blood corpse protector asked. That is the highest secret of the holy religion. Even the great lord, I wouldn't enter that forbidden area. You don't need to know this. In the misty area, Zhao Feng's eyes suddenly opened as the color on his face returned to normal. Apart from the fact that his cultivation had dropped to the 6th sky, all his other aspects were around the level when he was at the Alliance Banquet. Of course, his mastery of mental energy was better than the Alliance Banquet. After all, he had continued to study it for a month in order to destroy the ghost mark. The ghost mark had been destroyed. At least I don't need to be wary of being eyed upon by the experts of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Zhao Feng weighed the choices and didn't regret it. The ghost mark was too dangerous. Those that could find him were usually at the true spirit realm, and he couldn't confirm whether the weather would be stormy or not at that time. Calculating the time, Zhao Feng realized that over 2/3 of the time had passed for the deal with First Elder. According to the promise, he needed to leave the 13 countries within 2 months and head towards the Canopy Great Country to complete his secret mission. Although Zhao Feng was slightly unwilling, he had to do so. At the same time, Zhao Feng would be heading towards a larger stage. Ever since he had seen the map of the northern continent and the fact that the 13 countries only represented a dot in the corner, his heart had been shaken. 2 days later, Zhao Feng arrived at the Sun Feather City and found that everything was the same as usual. Although he didn't greet anyone from the city, He somehow had an uneasy feeling that he had been locked on by something. He didn't dare stay for long and soon left the Sun Feather City. The whistling of the wind soon arrived. "Zhao Feng, don't run. Go back to the clan with me and admit your sins." A deep voice echoed from behind. The person was a middle-aged man wearing purple robes and held a high-grade mortal weapon as he led 10 members of the clan who had reached the 6th sky or higher. "Go back to the clan and admit my sins?" Zhao Feng paused. He knew the middle-aged purple-robed person. It was a vice head who was proficient at fighting. "You better surrender now." The middle-aged purple-robed person circulated his high-grade mortal weapon, causing cold slashes of purple-green sword chi to envelope a radius of 10 yards. Crackle and arc of lightning flashed through Zhao Feng's hand like little small poisonous snakes as they charged towards the purple-robed man and company. Under the clash of the two powers, the purple-robed figure retreated and a numbing sensation enveloped him, causing him to be unable to move and smoke to appear above his head. The squad he brought with him were hit by the remaining arcs of lightning and fell to the floor, unable to move. This is the strength of the first in the Alliance banquet. The group were full of fear. In just one move, he had defeated a cultivator at half-step True Spirit Realm and caused the rest to lose their battle power. How terrifying was his strength. "I heard that Zhao Feng reached the 7th sky in the Alliance banquet, but now he's dropped to the 6th sky for some reason. If he was at his peak then..." The middle-aged purple-robed man took a deep breath and suppressed the wave in his heart. When he had heard about the mission and rewards, he had also heard of Zhao Feng's fame, but he didn't think much of it. Among the half-step True Spirit Realm experts, he was ranked in the top 3. No matter how strong a junior was, what could they do? However, only after personally fighting him did he know of Zhao Feng's dangerousness. He was even scarier than the rumors. After all, Zhao Feng's cultivation had now dropped to the 6th sky and was 2 steps away from the half-step True Spirit Realm. "Who sent you to come kill me?" Zhao Feng's expression dimmed. Because his cultivation had dropped to the 6th sky and he didn't use his bloodline power, he could only barely suppress the opponent with the move just then. "Zhao Feng, Clan Master Hai Yun has already ordered the 13 countries to kill you. If you resist, we'll kill you. But if you go back to the clan and admit your sins, you should be spared." Due to his wariness, the purple-robed middle-aged man didn't rashly make his move. Firstly, he was waiting for his squad to recover and also await the reinforcements from the clan. Hai Yun Master had specifically said to stall for time and tell an elder-ranked expert. A junior at the Ascended Realm needed experts at the True Spirit Realm to kill him? The middle-aged purple-robed man had rejected that thought back then. But at this moment, it looked like it wasn't all without reason. Clan Master Hai Yun? Kill? Zhao Feng's heart turned cold. Next, Zhao Feng circulated his bloodline power and instantly severely injured the middle-aged man and company. The purple-robed man was only able to block a few moves before being defeated and losing an arm in the process. If it wasn't because that they were of the same clan, Zhao Feng would have killed them already. "I'm asking you, what has happened in the past 2 months?" Zhao Feng's eyes turned towards another cultivator at the 7th sky. The deacon at the 7th sky was instantly controlled and answered without hesitation. Zhao Feng asked a question and the deacon would reply. The former soon understood the situation in the 13 clans and the situation that the Broken Moon clan was in. True Lord descending? The 12 clans all surrendered. Hai Yun Master. This traitor became the Broken Moon clan master and even sent people to pursue me in the 13 countries. The news made Zhao Feng stunned and angry. The descent of a true lord caused him to become helpless. Although he wasn't personally there, thinking about how the 12 clans had twice the forces of the enemy and still had to surrender, he could estimate what had happened. The thing that made Zhao Feng angry was that Hai Yun Master had become the clan master. Back at the concealed Dragon Lake, Hai Yun Master had attacked the original Broken Moon clan master and was the culprit of her death. The original Broken Moon clan master was holy and righteous. When Zhao Feng had caused a large amount of trouble in the Floating Crest trial, it was her and First Elder that protected Zhao Feng. Furthermore, this beautiful clan master was also Ran Xiaoyuan's master. Hence Zhao Feng was always respectful towards her. Hai Yun Master. Killing intent could be seen in Zhao Feng's eyes. This was the first time he had wanted to kill someone so badly. Back then, it was just to help Lord Guanjuan, and so all Zhao Feng wanted to do was beat Haiyun Master and humiliate him. He didn't think that Haiyun Master was so cunning. He had betrayed the Broken Moon Clan long ago, killed the Broken Moon Clan Master, and was now sending people after him. It was lucky that First Elder and Granny Luiyue were still in the Broken Moon Clan. With these two people here, the people related to Zhao Feng were safe. I'll let you guys live. Next time I will kill you. Zhao Feng's figure flashed and soon disappeared. He didn't dare dwindle for long due to the possibility that someone at True Spirit Realm would arrive, and with his 6th sky cultivation, there would be no means of escape. An hour after Zhao Feng's departure, the Regulations Elder arrived. The Regulations Elder was also Lu Hu's master, and when the latter had been kicked out by Zhao Feng, the Regulations Elder kept the event in his heart. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had slapped the Regulations Elder in the face after the trial. After Haiyun Master became the clan master, the Regulations Elder had become the greatest protector. When he arrived, he scouted the area, but was unable to find any traces of Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had the Yin Shadow Cloak which could hide auras, and after being pursued, he entered the Sky Cloud Forest. If I'm forced into a corner, I'll just go hide in the forbidden ground of 100 graves. Even those at the True Lord Realm won't easily enter it. Zhao Feng felt like a fish in the water when he entered the Sky Cloud Forest. Both he and the little thieving cat had the ability to become invisible, meaning that they were technically safe the second they entered Sky Cloud Forest. Looks like I need to leave the 13 countries fast. Zhao Feng's decision was made. There was no place for him to stay in the 13 countries anymore. It was better for him to enter the greater world. Zhao Feng started his journey on the same day, heading toward the outer boundaries of the 13 countries. Although the path Zhao Feng took was desolate, his god's spiritual eye still saw the figures of cultivators from the clans and the shadows of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. There was even a time when Zhao Feng's traces were accidentally found by a bottom-level disciple and was about to report it when he was instantly killed by Zhao Feng's mental energy technique. Zhao Feng's one-eyed, azure-haired appearance was just far too outstanding, and after becoming first in the Alliance banquet, it was hard not to recognize him. Therefore, Zhao Feng used a black veil that could cover his head and face. To increase his speed, Zhao Feng controlled an azure sharp swallow at the 7th sky with his mental energy. The azure sharp swallow's body size wasn't large for a flying beast. Its wingspan was only 2 to 3 yards wide, but if one was to underestimate it, they would pay a hefty price. The azure sharp swallow's wings were as thin as blade, and in terms of speed and offense, it was at the peak amongst the 7th sky. This weakness was its defense. Its defense wasn't even on par with beasts of the same cultivation. When someone met an azure sharp swallow, they would be wary or even retreat even if they were at the half-step True Spirit Realm. But with Zhao Feng's mental energy, he easily controlled the azure sharp swallow due to the fact that the azure sharp swallow's mental energy wasn't that great. Chiu. The azure sharp swallow was like a silver blade that flickered through the sky and into the clouds. In terms of speed alone, this azure sharp swallow is comparable to someone at the true human rank. Zhao Feng was extremely surprised. Although those at the true human rank had the ability to fly, it was only for a short while and the expenditure was great. Hence they were unable to fly for long periods of time nor be able to compare to a flying beast. It was because of this that flying beasts were extremely rare and taming it was extremely troublesome. But this posed no difficulty for Zhao Feng. In under 10 days, Zhao Feng had flown out of the 13 countries. The azure sharp swallow didn't disappoint Zhao Feng. It could fly tens of thousands of miles in one day. However, Zhao Feng didn't know that he wasn't the only genius that was being pursued in the 13 countries and had left the 13 countries. There was 2 others, Song Yue and Zhao Yufei. However, the only difference was that the rewards for these 2 were much lower. Due to the fact that Zhao Feng had come first in the Alliance banquet and was despised by Haiyun Master, the rewards of killing him were even higher than killing someone of the True Spirit Realm. In the blink of an eye, several months passed by. Zhao Feng, Zhao Yufei, and Song Yue had all disappeared from the 13 countries and didn't come back in a short amount of time, just like how Xi and Wuheng had mysteriously disappeared in the Sunfeather City. Between each countries were wide and desolate lands. These desolate lands hadn't been touched by humans yet and contained a large number of deadly beasts and Yao beasts. Not only that, desolate lands were full of dangerous environments and natural disasters. Carelessness could result in death. This situation was similar to the third stage of the Floating Crest trial, but the boundaries were bigger and the path longer. Therefore, it was very dangerous to travel through countries. Even people of the clans wouldn't easily do so. Of course, there was still countless numbers of people running from death and cultivators at the true spirit realm or higher that did so. In a desolate desert. So, a beautiful plainly dressed girl who held a sword sped off into the distance. Locust after locust appeared from the desert in front. The plainly dressed girl lightly shouted and condensed an invisible sword intent that flickered through the air. The swarm of locusts was instantly slashed apart. Although it's a bit risky, this path is the straightest and best. By passing 2 strong countries, I can arrive at the top sword sect of the northern continent, the 10,000 sword sect. Song Yuyue studied the map in her hands. The 10,000 sword sect was a peak force of the northern continent whose position was only below of the 10 great factions. Being the top sword sect in the northern continent, normal geniuses of the sword that had no background had no right to enter. But Song Yuyue believed that with her age, comprehension, and seed of sword intent that not many people across the entire northern continent had, she was able to pass. Furthermore, she had a recommendation letter in her hands. Due to the fact that the Cloud Sword clan had been controlled by the Iron Dragon country and Scarlet Moon demonic religion, Song Yuyue was treated as a traitor. But luckily, Zhao Feng had attracted most of the attention, hence Song Yuyue was able to leave the 13 countries safely. In the desolate lands, in between canyons, a girl in purple with eyes as clear as crystal could be seen. Her face was like a beautiful carving and her skin was snow white with a faint redness to it. Her looks could bring disaster amongst men and countries. The 3 Yuan sect is a side sect of one of the 10 great factions, the Heavenly Yuan sect. Who knows if this journey will be successful? Zhao Yufei's eyes were filled with anticipation and worry. The 3 Yuan sect was a powerful force that could suppress the forces of the Iron Dragon strong country. What made it even more popular was that it was a side sect of the Heavenly Yuan sect. If one performed well, there was the chance of being chosen by the Heavenly Yuan sect. The 10 great factions were spread out amongst the entire continent and the northern continent only had 1 or 2 at the max. From this one could see the Heavenly Yuan sect's importance. Brother Zhao Feng is being pursued by the entire 13 countries and the pressure he faces is much greater than mine. I hope he can escape successfully and maybe, hopefully, one day. Bright lights flashed in Zhao Yufei's eyes. Outside the 13 countries. Inside a complex landscape in the desolate lands. I've finally run out of the 13 countries. Hai Yun Master. I'll pay back today's humiliation in 2-fold in the future. A black hooded figure said, full of killing intent. Under the hood was an azure-haired youth with an ugly expression and full of anger. Zhao Feng had to keep this thought in his heart as he ran from the pursuers across the 13 countries. The enemy was an expert of true spirit realm that had become the clan master. Zhao Feng wasn't able to fight back. He believed that there was no place for him in the 13 countries unless he reached true lord rank, meaning he was able to affect the area around there. If Zhao Feng wanted to return to the 13 countries, he needed to be at least at the true spirit realm or else it would be full of dangers. Zhao Feng only had what Master told him to do in his heart. The first mission. Ask for help. A map of the northern continent appeared in his mind as he started to fly in a certain direction. Zhao Feng had the god's spiritual eye and the azure sharp swallow which allowed him evade all the dangers beforehand. The northern continent had as many strong countries as how many clouds were in the sky. The Iron Dragon country was only one of the more powerful forces. If he was able to find assistance, it was possible to turn the situation of the 13 countries around. Zhao Feng sat on the azure sharp swallow and headed towards the closest country to the 13 countries and the 2 countries, the Eagle country. However, this was an arduous path. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. In the south of the northern continent, a roaring river passed through mountains, plains, and deserts as if it was going to rip the land in half. The scene was stunning. This river was called the River of Rage, and was one of the 3 rivers that lay within the Canopy Great Country's territory. The River of Rage had a powerful current. A wave alone could swallow a cultivator at the Ascended Realm. Furthermore, above the river were winds so powerful that even flying Yao beasts would be instantly torn to shreds. The river bank. A sharp green swallow flew through the air and landed on the ground. Although the size of this flying bird wasn't big, its speed and aura caused many to glance over. At this moment, an azure-haired one-eyed youth jumped down from the azure sharp swallow with signs of fatigue. It's the rare azure sharp swallow. It's said that its speed and offense is unbelievable. What background does this youth have to possess such a precious pet? The eyes of many people glimmered as they started to discuss. The azure-haired one-eyed youth was obviously Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng felt extremely tired after coming from the Skycloud 13 countries. Luckily, he had entered the territory of the Canopy Great Country and was extremely far away from the 13 countries. He believed that no one would know him. Across the entire northern continent, only 3 countries had the word great in it. The Canopy Great Country was one of the 3. The second task, give Master's item to the Lu family within the Canopy Great Country. Xiaofeng surveyed the area with caution. Although the strongest cultivator here had only reached the 7th sky, he didn't dare look down upon them. This was the Canopy Great Country. It wasn't something the 13 countries could compare to. 10 days ago, 2 to 3 bandits of the 6th sky had tried to steal Xiaofeng's azure sharp swallow. Xiaofeng decided to finish them off, but without using the god's spiritual eye and bloodline power, he needed a dozen or so moves. This was unimaginable in the 13 countries. The Canopy Great Country was a treasured place of the northern continent for cultivators. The number of people who had reached the Ascended Realm here wasn't low. Xiaofeng had once fought with 2 experts at the 7th sky, and without using his bloodline power, the battle resulted in a draw. Furthermore, those 2 were only the middle echelons of a family, like how the Zhao family was in the Cloud Country. Skills and techniques of every kind are seen in the mortal world. The heaven-earth yuan qi is several times purer than the 13 countries, and apparently, a few big forces are in control of spiritual treasured grounds and full of resources. Although Xiaofeng had only entered the Canopy Great Country for a short dozen days, his actions had become more cautious. Simply said, the Canopy Great Country was more advanced in terms of cultivation. If the 13 countries was said to be a village in the countryside, then this place would be a city. Therefore, under the same cultivation, the experts of the Canopy Great Country could easily slay those from the 13 countries. I hope the second task doesn't fail, or else. Xiaofeng stood at the river bank and his chest heaved from the pressure the River of Rage brought. Him running away was for 2 missions. 1. Help. 2. Send the letter. Xiaofeng had failed the former. Thinking back to his experience, a bitter smile appeared on Xiaofeng's lips. After leaving the 13 countries, he reached the closest Eagle Country. The Eagle Country was the closest to the Iron Dragon Country and 13 countries, but was stronger than the Iron Dragon Strong Country. If they were willing, they could change the situation of the 13 countries. But when Xiaofeng entered the Eagle Country, he realized that the tens of clans in the country had an internal war and the entire country was in chaos. None of them had the time to bother with him. After that, Xiaofeng arrived at the 2nd strong country nearby, the Bloodfire Country. The Bloodfire Country was extremely powerful. The original Iron Dragon Strong Country and the Sky-Rich Strong Country united might not even be its match. However, the distance between the Bloodfire Strong Country and 13 countries was already a bit far, and the factions there weren't willing to help. Furthermore, Xiaofeng almost lost his life there. The Scarlet Moon demonic religion has not only infiltrated the Iron Dragon Strong Country. Even the Bloodfire Strong Country has been infiltrated. Xiaofeng would still be covered in sweat when he remembered this. Back at the Bloodfire Strong Country, he had been targeted by the Scarlet Moon religion, but was able to survive due to his god's spiritual eye. He couldn't help but be glad that he had destroyed the ghost mark, even though it cost him dropping 1 sky. With the failure at the Bloodfire Country, Xiaofeng's task for help ended in failure. Because the other countries were all too far away, and who would bother with a brat who came from a poor place? Finally, Xiaofeng decisively gave up this mission that was infested with danger and little hope. He couldn't help but remember what First Elder had told him. The chance of getting help was small. The key point was the second task. If it succeeded, not only will you be safe, the 13 countries might also be saved. At this moment, Zhao Feng was standing in front of the River of Rage. He was placing all his hopes on the second mission. But right now Zhao Feng needed to pass through the River of Rage to enter the center of the Canopy Great Country. The Canopy Great Country situation could be described as one emperor, 3 sects, 4 families to display its chaoticness. Amongst the 4 families was a Lu family, but Zhao Feng didn't know whether it was the same as the one First Elder had talked about. Zhao Feng thought that if the Lu family he was looking for was indeed one of the 4 great families of the Canopy Great Country, it would be incredible. 1 emperor, 3 sects, 4 families. These 8 forces sustained the life of Canopy Great Country and were above the other countless forces. Any one of them had power at least comparable to a strong country and even had the ability to wipe them out. Of these 8 forces, the Imperials had the most fame and was the ruler of the Canopy Great Country. Due to the 8 forces existing together, the situation within this great country was very complex, but there wasn't much connection to Zhao Feng who had just arrived. He couldn't even affect the 13 countries' situation and was just a speck of dust in the Canopy Great Country. After organizing his thoughts, Zhao Feng once again looked towards the River of Rage ahead. The River of Rage had a magnificent current that caused cultivators at Ascended Realm to have a hard time breathing. The River of Rage is the biggest river in the Canopy Great Country and is one of the 3 greatest areas of water in the northern continent. Anyone that wants to enter the holy lands of the Canopy Great Country and head towards the 4 families must cross this river. Zhao Feng's eyes gleamed as his azure hair blew in the wind. It wasn't just Zhao Feng alone that wanted to cross the river. The aim of the experts here were all to cross the river. The River of Rage was situated north and was considered desolate, even though the population here far surpassed the 13 countries. One had to cross it if they wanted to enter the populated grounds of the Canopy Great Country. Chio! The sound of movement in the air could be heard as a true spirit realm expert's aura caused the crowd's expression on the riverbank to change. A 4-winged flying leopard flew through the air. Its size was as big as an elephant and a golden-robed noble sat on it as they descended to the riverbank. 4-winged flying cloud leopard. It's a battle-class flying pet. This 4-winged flying cloud leopard could probably easily rip normal cultivators at the half-step true spirit realm into shreds. The people on the riverbank full of respect. The pet of the golden-robed person. The 4-winged flying cloud leopard alone would cause normal cultivators at the ascended realm to evade. When the 4-winged flying cloud leopard descended, Zhao Feng could feel uneasiness from the azure sharp swallow. The azure sharp swallow might not be slower than the 4-winged flying snow leopard in terms of speed, but their battle power was incomparable. Zhao Feng noticed that a lot of cultivators had flying beasts in the Canopy Great Country, but his azure sharp swallow was a rare type whose speed made others envious. The golden-robed noble's eyes were calm as he scanned across the people on the riverbank. He was slightly surprised when he saw the azure sharp swallow next to Zhao Feng, but he didn't take it to heart. Zhao Feng was only at the 6th sky but had an azure sharp swallow. One had to know that cultivators at the 7th sky and even those at the half-step true spirit realm didn't have such great flying steeds. As time passed, more and more people arrived on the riverbank. The cultivation of these people were at least at the 4th or 5th sky, and 6th and 7th sky were very common. There were now several cultivators at half-step true spirit realm at the riverbank. The battle prowess of these people couldn't be compared to those in the sky cloud forest area. Zhao Feng found it hard to even finish off a normal cultivator at the 7th sky in a short period of time. Of course, everyone was filled with respect as they looked at the gold-robed person. With the cultivation of the true human rank, he should be able to cross the river. Maybe he just doesn't want to spend too much energy. Zhao Feng thought in his heart. The people on the riverbank were all waiting to cross the river. However, the prices of these ships were enormous and the materials were comparable to mortal weapons. They also needed array masters to enhance them to be able to stand against the waves. Normal ships were obviously unable to cross the River of Rage. Only those made with special material and enhanced with arrays were able to stand the chaotic waves. The crossing skyship is almost here. Someone in the riverbank lowly shouted, and everyone stared at the river. Zhao Feng had the strongest sight and soon saw a dark silver tens of yards long ship appear. The surface of the ship was engraved with complex arrays which gave off a earth-yellow color. Zhao Feng estimated that his full-strength attack wouldn't even be able to harm this ship. It was only because of these arrays that the ship was able to stand tall and not crushed by the enormous waves. There was several docks near the River of Rage, and near every dock, there would be ships similar to the crossing skyship that sent customers back and forth. At this moment, only a few people had come off the crossing skyship. Usually people only thought of entering the Canopy Great Country and not many would leave after they entered. On the crossing skyship were 4 sailors with muscular figures. Their muscles were like bronze metal and gave off an invisible pressure. These 4 sailors are all proficient in body strengthening and have reached the 7th sky. They can use their body alone to fight against cultivators at the same rank. Zhao Feng was extremely surprised. If these experts were young enough, they had the chance to fight for a place of a star in the Alliance banquet. There's a total of 49 places. Everyone pays 300 low-grade primal crystal stones. The sailor at the front announced. So, the second the words exited his mouth, the golden-robed person flew onto the crossing skyship. His true spirit realm aura caused the expression of the 4 sailors to change slightly, but still took the primal crystal stones. 300 low-grade primal crystal stones? That's not a small sum. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. 300 low-grade primal crystal stones were 30,000 substandard primal crystal stones. In the world of cultivators, substandard primal crystal stones were the lowest currency and were mainly used in the bottom echelons. The Canopy Great Country has rich resources and the number of primal crystal stones extracted are extremely high. Hence the price of everything is also higher. Zhao Feng soon understood. He had won 10,000 low-grade primal crystal stones from the Alliance banquet and this was comparable to 1 million substandard primal crystal stones. This sum made the eyes of others red in the 13 clans. But in this place, 10,000 low-grade primal crystal stones couldn't be considered to be much. Normal cultivators at the half-step true spirit realm were even richer than Zhao Feng. So, the group all charged towards the crossing skyship. The crossing skyship was docked at the riverbank, but there were still powerful winds here that was able to push cultivators at the ascended realm away. Therefore, the only entrance was the ship gate. 41. 42. 7 places left. The head sailor said. The ship would leave when the 49 spaces were filled up. The remaining group were getting impatient. One had to know that every crossing skyship came every 10 days and they needed to repair the protective arrays on the ship. Furthermore, a crossing skyship would be the only around in a span of tens of thousands of miles. Fast. This was the first time Zhao Feng had arrived here, so he didn't know the situation, and therefore was behind. Zhao Feng's figure flashed with arcs of lightning, but his movement was still a few steps too late compared to those that were prepared. When Zhao Feng had arrived, there were 4 people fighting for the remaining 2 places. Sky Frost Dominance Fist. One of them was a silver-haired youth that sent a wave of ice in a 10-yard radius. That youth forced a cultivator at the 7th sky and 2 at the 6th sky back. The power here was close to Zhang Yue's on the Alliance banquet. Zhao Feng was extremely shocked. The Canopy Great Country's resources were extremely rich and geniuses were like fishes in a river. Zhao Feng wouldn't be his match without using his bloodline power. Only if he had reached 7th sky again would he be able to. After the silver-haired youth landed on the ship, Zhao Feng and 3 others were left behind. Charge. Zhao Feng's in-shadow cloak flapped as his body became darker and the sound of lightning increased. At that instant, his speed surpassed the remaining person at the 7th sky and the 2 at the 6th sky. Don't even think about it. These 3 people weren't simple. Their strength was similar to Ao Yuetian's and Su Zixuan's. Lightning barrier. Zhao Feng didn't evade in the slightest and a spiderweb made of lightning formed a barrier around him. Boom! The attacks of the 3 landed on Zhao Feng and the lightning arcs flew everywhere. The 7th sky expert harumphed as his body was numbed for half a breath. The other 2 were pushed back several yards and a few scorch marks were left on their body. Chio. Before they could react, Zhao Feng had turned into a blur and had succeeded in taking the last spot. After doing this, Zhao Feng's breathing rate increased as his expression turned solemn. Ever since entering the Canopy Great Country, the strongest feeling he felt was the competition. Competition was extremely intense. Just for a ship crossing the river needed a fight. 800 low-grade primal crystal stones. The sailor said expressionlessly. Why 800? Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly. He clearly remembered that everyone only had to pay 300 and this was already very expensive. Your flying pet costs an extra 500. The sailor replied impatiently. Zhao Feng silently handed over 800 primal crystal stones. The azure sharp swallow's value was far more than this. However, the golden-robed person's four-winged flying cloud leopard didn't cost him any extra. As if sensing Zhao Feng's eyes, the golden-robed person smiled faintly. You're not from Canopy Great Country, are you? Zhao Feng nodded his head. Hearing this, the others on the ship looked towards him with disdain, as if they were looking at a beggar. However, the golden-robed person didn't show any signs of underestimation and explained patiently. I have a spiritual pet bag, specifically used to carry flying beasts. Senior, may I ask you how much this spiritual pet bag costs? Zhao Feng's eyes landed on a black sack on the person's waist. 100,000 primal crystal stones. The golden-robed person responded casually. 100,000 primal crystal stones. Zhao Feng took a cold breath. This spiritual pet bag alone was worth more than 10 times the amount he owned. Hence, another thought of the Canopy Great Country appeared in Zhao Feng's mind apart from the competition here. It was money. Meow meow. Maybe it was because the little thieving cat had smelled the scent of money. The cat appeared from the interspatial bracelet and looked around with twirling eyeballs. What a cute cat! Oh my god! This little cat looks extremely smart. Meow meow. The little thieving cat put its paws out and puffed out its chest, causing the young girls to laugh. Zhao Feng's heart clenched as he swore in his heart. Why did it come out? He might even have to pay more primal crystal stones. Luckily, the little thieving cat was only the size of a palm and was considered a small pet. Hence, there was no extra fees. The golden-robed person inspected Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat with interest, but didn't say anything. Schwa. After the 49 places were taken, the 4 sailors pulled up the sails and began sailing the ship towards the opposite bank. The waves and winds of the River of Rage were extremely dangerous. Even those at the 7th sky wouldn't be able to last long before being dragged down into the depths of the river. Under these conditions, the crossing sky ship speed was extremely slow. The River of Rage is around 100 miles long, is considered a thin area. With our current speed, at least 4 to 5 days needed to reach the other side. Zhao Feng calculated. 4 to 5 days wasn't long if one cultivated. But the problem was that the ship would shake incessantly due to the waves. After all, the ship would have to face waves with the force of 1,000,000 kilograms. Not only that, when the waves were at its strongest, the crossing sky ship would shake and had the danger of capsizing. Under these situations, even a small nap was dangerous. Due to the fact that the ship was incessantly shaking, most people used true force to stabilize themselves. The most casual person was the golden-robed person. He was like a nail on the ship. No matter how strong the wind blew or the rain was, he never moved. Apart from him were those at half-step true spirit realm. They also seemed to find it pretty easy. These cultivators at the half-step true spirit realm were all extremely powerful and had cultivated the chi of half-step true spirit. They were much stronger than those in the 13 countries. Luckily, the crossing sky ship wasn't rocking the entire time. There were moments when the water would be unusually calm. When the crossing sky ship was calm, the experts on the ship would interact with one another and sometimes exchange items. Little brother, are you willing to exchange your azure sharp swallow? This one would be willing to pay 2,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. A middle-aged person wearing gray approached Zhao Feng and inquired, 2,000 primal crystal stones? Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly. This wasn't a small sum in the 13 clans, but he still shook his head. No thanks. Present, Zhao Feng still needed the azure sharp swallow. Moreover, he didn't think that the azure sharp swallow was only worth this much. On this ship, apart from the golden-robed person, no other flying beast was better than Zhao Feng's azure sharp swallow. Some didn't even have flying beasts. How about 3,000 low-grade primal crystal stones? That's worth an enormous sum of 300,000 substandard primal crystal stones. The middle-aged person gritted their teeth and asked in a low tone. Zhao Feng still shook his head. 3,500. 4,000. 5,000, that's my limit. Zhao Feng shook his head no matter what the person offered. A few people nearby revealed playful and disdainful expressions. They could tell that this middle-aged gray-clothed person was trying to trick this poor youth. But unexpectedly, the youth didn't seem to be shocked by the enormous sum. The area outside of the Canopy Great Country lacked yuan qi and the production of primal crystal stones was low. People outside of the Canopy Great Country were easily shocked by the sum of thousands or tens of thousands of primal crystal stones. But the youth before them didn't seem shocked. Zhao Feng was still not moved even when the gray-clothed person had raised the price to 8,000. My azure sharp swallow is worth that much? Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. The yuan qi in the Canopy Great Country was denser and the production of primal crystal stones higher, hence the increase in price. Items were rare when there was only a limited number. The Canopy Great Country was led by martial arts and the beasts nearby had been slaughtered in vast quantities. Some precious spiritual pets were rare here than in the 13 countries. Normal people would not ride a flying beast unless they were heading into very dangerous zones. Lower quantities of items resulted in higher price. Because of these two reasons, the price of flying beasts, especially rare ones, were worth a lot in the Canopy Great Country. 8,000 primal crystal stones. Are you selling or not? The middle-aged gray-clothed person's eyes dimmed. Although he was only at the 7th sky, the aura radiating from him was much stronger than the ones in the 13 countries. Zhao Feng estimated this person could face off Su Zixuan and Ao Yuetian or even beat them. Just as Zhao Feng was about to reject, a voice sounded from nearby. I? Gray Cat Eagle? Are you trying to force this trade? A silver-haired youth slowly walked over. Zhao Feng had an impression of this youth. This person had used the Skyfrost Dominance Fist before and had forced back one person at the 7th sky and two at the 6th sky. Without using his bloodline power, Zhao Feng didn't have much of a winning chance against him. Qi Zhou, this has nothing to do with you. The middle-aged man who was called Gray Cat Eagle gazed warningly at the silver-haired youth. Fair trade, the higher bidder wins. Do I have no right to participate? Qi Zhou humphed coldly. Qi Zhou was also at the 7th sky and his strength was comparable to Zhang Yuyue, causing others nearby to shuffle backwards. The gray-clothed middle-aged person stopped saying anything. He couldn't stop Qi Zhou from bidding a higher price. In terms of talent and strength, the opponent was far superior to him. I'll give you 10,000 primal crystal stones for this azure sharp swallow. Qi Zhou's voice was faint but contained a coldness to it. 10,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. That was all Zhao Feng had. 11,000. The middle-aged gray-clothed person retorted. I said that I'm not trading my azure sharp swallow. Zhao Feng calmly shook his head. Hearing this, a lot of people were surprised. A youth who had came from outside the Canopy Great Country could resist such a large amount of primal crystal stones? I heard that the cultivators from outside the Canopy Great Country are extremely poor. Is this true? Could this be a young master of a family or the son of a lord of some country? The people nearby exchanged glances. Qi Zhou and the Gray Cat Eagle looked at each other in the eye before leaving. No one dared to do anything on the ship. Even if there were problems, they would be resolved when they reached the shore. Zhao Feng's expression was the same as usual and the little thieving cat on his shoulder yawned. However, just as the two left, another group of people came. This cat is so cute. Can you sell it to me? A young girl dressed in blue around the age of 14 to 15 inquired. She was like a delicate carving. The girl's age was younger than Zhao Feng, but her cultivation had reached the peak 6th sky. A cold youth in black came along with her. His age seemed to be around Zhao Feng's. The girl and boy walked together shoulder by shoulder. Although their ages were young, their cultivation wasn't to be underestimated. Behind the two was a plainly dressed elder at half-step true spirit realm who was shaking his head at this moment. Not for sale. Zhao Feng's voice was cold. Why did all these natives of the Canopy Great Country try to exchange with him? Was it because they were easy to trick? Azure-haired brat. We're from the Lu family in the overlooking Mist province. State the price and sell this cat to us. The youth in black said coolly as if he knew Zhao Feng would agree. Overlooking Mist province Lu family? Could this Lu family be affiliated with one of the 4 great families in the Canopy Great Country? The people on board were slightly surprised. Lu family? These 3 come from the Lu family. Is their family my target? Zhao Feng thought in his heart and asked, any price? That's right. The youth in black seemed to be extremely confident. The girl in blue gazed at the little thieving cat in blue and clenched her fists. This cat is the smartest and most intelligent pet I've seen. I'm definitely going to buy it today. How about I give you 50% off? Zhao Feng said slowly. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paws, symbolizing its dissatisfaction. The intelligence made the girl like it even more. State your price. The youth in black said smugly. The azure-haired brat must have heard the Lu family's name, hence the 50% off. 1 billion primal crystal stones. Zhao Feng slowly gave a price. Hearing this, everyone took a cold breath. 1 billion. This brat does indeed have the mouth of a lion. Even if they sold the overlooking Mist Lu family, they probably wouldn't be able to gather this much. The people here were stunned, then started to laugh. The youth in black and girl in blue paused. You! The youth in black's face went white then green from anger. He had originally thought that a cat would only be worth 100 primal crystal stones, but Zhao Feng had said an extreme amount. Before the youth could react, Zhao Feng laughed as he continued. I meant peak-grade primal crystal stones. Peak-grade primal crystal stones. Everyone's mouths gaped open. The golden-robed person at the true spirit realm laughed and shook his head. Peak-grade primal crystal stones had been long extinct. Even high-grade primal crystal stones are hard to find. Now, middle-grade primal crystal stones are even considered rare. Being someone at true spirit realm, he obviously had the right to say. It was obvious that Zhao Feng didn't want to sell the cat, hence the price. Azure-haired brat. How dare you play us? We'll see. The youth in black trembled from anger and turned around and left. He never would have thought that a countryman would not give him face. Meow meow. The little thieving cat was full of joy and smugness and the ruffled Zhao Feng's face while looking at the youth in black with disdain. I really like this cat. The girl in blue bit her lips and gazed towards the plainly dressed elder with watery eyes, looking for help. The eyes of the girl in blue turned watery and seemed extremely sympathetic. Those watching felt bad for her and told Zhao Feng to sell the little thieving cat to the girl. Sure. 1 billion primal crystal stones. Zhao Feng laughed. The youth in black clenched his fists tightly and stared angrily at Zhao Feng. If it wasn't because they were on the crossing skyship, he might have already attacked. Zhao Feng's 1 billion primal crystal stones price obviously didn't have any intention of trading. He was just playing with them. Tinger, wait till we cross the river of rage and enter the Canopy Great Country. I'll buy the exact same cat. The plainly dressed, elderly person behind the two laughed. Meow meow. The little thieving cat revealed expressions of disdain as it extended a finger pointing towards the sky. Following this, it then extended 2 fingers and compared it. It's saying it's the only one? There won't be another. The people nearby could obviously understand its meaning. Only one in the world. Never another the same. Meow meow. The little thieving cat nodded its head proudly in response to the crowd. Everyone's jaws were wide open and were extremely surprised. The intelligence of this cat could be compared to the fox beasts. Uncle Lu, look, saying that it's the only one in the world. How can you buy the same one for me? The girl in blue pouted and gazed unwillingly towards the little thieving cat, not wanting to leave. The plainly dressed elder was helpless and the youth in black stared at Zhao Feng with hatred. Zhao Feng was speechless. In this short amount of time, he had offended two groups of people. The former group wanted to buy his azure sharp swallow, but enmity appeared after they were rejected. This group wanted to buy his little thieving cat, but wanted to take it because they couldn't afford it. Sai, what kind of world is this? Zhao Feng couldn't help but shake his head. Thinking about it carefully, the reason was because they thought he was easy to bully. He was alone, had low cultivation, and came from outside the canopy great country. Everyone thought of him as a countryman, an easy target. The crossing sky ship slowly moved forwards. Zhao Feng could feel Qizhou and Grey Cat Eagle's coldness. In the other group, the youth in black was full of anger as he felt that he had humiliated by Zhao Feng. The plainly dressed elder at the half-step true spirit realm's eyes twinkled. It was impossible to see his thoughts. If these two groups attack together after I get off the ship. Zhao Feng hiccuped coldly. Just the silver-haired youth Qizhou alone was comparable to Zhang Yue. The strongest person should be the plainly dressed elder who had already formed the qi of half-step true spirit. He would even be able to resist against normal cultivators at true human rank. Of course, Zhao Feng thought that even if he wasn't his match, he could run away with his Yin shadow cloak and lightning inheritance. Little friend, the overlooking Mist Lu family's name is very good and we don't force trades, but we can't be sure others won't. If you don't mind, you can come with us three for the time being. The plainly dressed elder suggested. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. The older one was indeed smart. He could tell that the current situation wasn't very good for Zhao Feng, and if he helped Zhao Feng solve it, Zhao Feng would owe him a debt. At the same time, Zhao Feng had to loosen up on selling the cat. Zhao Feng went into deep thought. He wasn't scared of these two groups. Even if he wasn't their match, he could retreat safely. But the overlooking Mist Lu family was a good trace. Zhao Feng didn't know the place well nor know anyone. He wasn't even sure which Lu family he was to find. How about you three have to ensure my safety after we get off the boat? As for the exchange, if the little thieving cat wants to go with you, I won't stop it. Zhao Feng answered. Sure. The plainly dressed elder revealed a happy expression. Behind their backs was an enormous family with rich resources. With the little thieving cat's intelligence, it would definitely come to them with the resources provided. After the plainly dressed elder and Zhao Feng came to a deal, the former told the girl in blue and youth in black. Great! Uncle Lu instantly succeeds. The girl in blue said happily, as if the little thieving cat was already in her hands. The youth in black harumphed coldly, but the enmity on his face didn't decrease. With the little thieving cat as the connection line, Zhao Feng soon knew the three people. The plainly dressed elder, who was called Uncle Lu, was an elder of the overlooking Mist Lu family. The girl in blue was called Lu Tingyu and was a genius of the younger generation, but from the spoiledness Uncle Lu gave her, one could tell that her identity wasn't as simple as it looked. The youth in black was called Lu Dong, a lover of Lu Tingyu's. Zhao Feng smiled and understood the background of the three. The overlooking Mist Province Lu family was a tiny family in the Canopy Great Country, just like how the Zhao family was in the Cloud Country. But even such a small family had elders at half-step true spirit realm. From this, one could see that the advancement of cultivation in the Canopy Great Country had far exceeded the 13 countries. Zhao Feng was a person who came into the city from the farm, so him being a countryman was justified. Hee. Lu Tingyu took out her snacks and fed it to the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat had a huge appetite and didn't eat normal food. Only till Lu Tingyu took out primal crystal stones and some precious spiritual pills did the little thieving cat eat happily. The plainly dressed elder laughed. With the little thieving cat's gluttony and greed for money, it wasn't hard to trick it away from Zhao Feng. At this moment, Zhao Feng obviously wouldn't forget to ask Lu Tingyu and company about the situation within the Lu family. May I ask whether there's a person called Qin Xin in the Lu family? Zhao Feng asked. His trip to the Canopy Great Country was to find this person. This mission contributed whether the situation within the 13 countries could be changed or not. Lu Qinxin? In just the Lu family of the overlooking Mist Province alone, there's more than one person called Lu Qinxin. Uncle Lu shook his head. There were just too many people with the same name in this vast land. Zhao Feng stopped talking. Back in the Zhao family, there was more than one person with the same person as him. In the Canopy Great Country, the Lu family of the 4 great families is our main families. Apart from them, there's side families and branch families. From what I know, there's 7 side families and several hundred branch families. Uncle Lu explained. Zhao Feng couldn't help but click his tongue. The Lu family was the main family and had 7 side families under them. Under side families were branch families. The overlooking Mist Province Lu family was just a member of the branch families. After knowing this, Zhao Feng's heart shook. It was hard to imagine how powerful the Lu family was. The overlooking Mist Province Lu family probably didn't even have the right to contact the main Lu family. Am I supposed to find the main family, side family, or branch family? Zhao Feng's head hurt. The second mission was for him to send a letter. He had thought it would be simple, but the reality was extremely complex. From the current situation, the chance of being the main Lu family wasn't high, but not impossible. I hope that it's someone from the side family who has some power. If she's from the branch family, then that'd be troublesome. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. There was only 7 side families of the Lu family, and each of them were powerful forces. But there was just too many branch families. They were counted by the hundreds. Zhao Feng didn't know that when he mentioned the name Lu Qinxin to Uncle Lu, the golden-robed person's eyes flashed. Lu Qinxin? Could it be that person? Impossible. No way. It must be someone who has the same name. The golden-robed person took a deep breath and shook his head. There were way too many people with the same name. The golden-robed person thought. The crossing skyship moved forwards. Time quickly passed by. In the blink of an eye, 7 to 8 days had gone past, and the crossing skyship had finally approached the shore. The shore on the opposite side of the River of Rage was crystal blue. It looked like a scenery from out of an artwork. Zhao Feng was immersed by what he saw. So entrancing. So is this the holy cultivation lands of the Canopy Great Country? Lu Tingyu's eyes flashed brightly and her fists were clenched, amazed by this piece of land. The south of the River of Rage was considered desolate and barren. Only by passing the river did one truly enter the Canopy Great Country. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye caught an immeasurable power in the River of Rage. It seemed to be able to rip the continent apart. The heaven-earth Yuan Qi in the opposite shore is more than 10 times denser than the 13 countries. This River of Rage contains some power that can disrupt the distribution of heaven-earth Yuan Qi in the northern continent. Zhao Feng took a deep breath, unable to measure that power. The River of Rage is a very mysterious river. The top-ranked inheritances, Heaven's Legacy Inheritance, showed up here several tens of thousands of years ago and gave birth to the River of Rage. Uncle Lu said as if telling a story. Heaven's Legacy Inheritance? An inheritance even better than the Scarlet Moon Inheritance. Lu Tingyu was full of curiosity. The Scarlet Moon Inheritance was ranked 3rd of the 4 great inheritances and was the reason why the Scarlet Moon Patriarch reached such a height. The Heaven's Legacy Inheritance is the most ancient and mysterious inheritance of the 4. Its appearance rate is extremely low and not much information is known about it. Uncle Lu smiled faintly. There was just not enough information about the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance. No one knew whether it was the strongest or not, but it was definitely the oldest and most mysterious. Apparently, every time the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance appears, the continent's situation would change. But this inheritance hasn't appeared for a long time. The golden-robed noble who was silent suddenly said, "These were just rumors. No one would take it as true." The crossing skyship soon reached the shore. So, everyone left the crossing skyship. The fastest person was obviously the golden-robed person. In a flash, he had disappeared into the clouds. Azure-haired brat. Are you sure you're not going to sell the azure sharp swallow? The gray middle-aged gray cat eagle closed in on Zhao Feng with 2 helpers behind him. On the other side, the silver-haired Chijiu had a cold mocking smile on his lips. Gray Cat Eagle had asked 2 helpers who had both reached the 7th sky to accompany him, and they were at least at Su Zishuan or Ao Yuetian tier. Chijiu seemed to be alone and stood on the other side as he smiled coldly. There were also a few people standing on the side with gleaming eyes. At this point in time, the atmosphere was extremely tense. This entire event was caused by the azure-haired kid who came from outside the canopy great country. The poor countryside brat had a precious flying beast and an intelligent pet cat which caused others to have thoughts on stealing it. Everyone thought that this person had no background and low cultivation, hence he was a good target. Zhao Feng didn't speak but smiled towards Uncle Lu. According to their deal before, the three from the Lu family needed to ensure his safety. Uncle Lu wanted to use soft methods to help Lu Tingyu get the little thieving cat, and it was a perfect chance for him to make Zhao Feng owe him one right now. Everyone. This little friend here is a guest of our overlooking Mist Lu family. I hope everyone gives me some face. Uncle Lu scanned the crowd and released his half-step true spirit realm aura. He was like a peerless mountain. In the canopy great country, there was a technique which could allow true force to slowly change into chi of half-step true spirit and become more like the chi of true spirit. The higher percentage of chi of half-step true spirit converted, the more powerful one was. According to Zhao Feng's knowledge, the half-step true spirit realm experts in the 13 countries only had 1/20th to 1/10th converted. However, in the canopy great country, normal half-step true spirit realm experts had 20 to 30% converted, meaning that they were 2 times more powerful in comparison to those in the 13 countries. The conversion was slow, but the more converted, the higher chance of breaking through to the true spirit realm. If one converted 90%, they had at least a 50% chance of reaching the true spirit realm. At this moment, when Uncle Lu released his aura, the expressions of the gray cat eagle and company changed. 30 to 40% has been converted to the chi of half-step true spirit. A few people amongst the crowd sucked in a cold breath. The aura from the half-step true spirit realm made others uneasy. The gray cat eagle and the two behind him started breathing more rapidly and were full of caution and hesitation. If Uncle Lu and company were to protect Zhao Feng, they had no chance of winning. The overlooking Mist Province Lu family is only a tiny branch family. It has nothing to do with the main Lu family. A cold voice sounded from the side. Qi Jiu stood proudly as his silver hair floated in the air. A layer of frost appeared, causing the temperature nearby to drop. The coldness made Uncle Lu's expression change. Lu Tingyu's eyebrows were furrowed as she circulated her true force to protect herself. Lin Dong, the youth in black's face, was white as he struggled to resist. Qi Jiu, all you need to do is hold back that old man. Leave the rest to us and we'll give you 40% of the profits. The gray cat eagle revealed a happy expression. Qi Jiu's strength was stronger than expected and was able to resist Uncle Lu. Zhao Feng originally thought that the former was only close to Zhang Yue's, but from the looks of it right now, he had the ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with her. Sky Frost Dominance Fist. Qiu Jiu's fist gave off a cold blue aura, and a chilling ice blue light flickered towards Uncle Lu and the two. Everyone dodge! Uncle Lu exclaimed as his chi of half-step true spirit appeared, forming a mud yellow-colored palm. Pong! The palm smashed through Qi Jiu's attack and crushed onwards. Qi Jiu's figure retreated slightly as he turned into cold shadows that attacked furiously towards Uncle Lu. This Qi Jiu has incredible power and his offense is close to Zhang Yue's, whereas his defense is even stronger. Overall, he's stronger than Zhang Yue if the latter didn't comprehend the seed of sword intent. Zhao Feng sighed in his head. In terms of age, Qi Jiu was around 5 years older than Zhao Feng and Zhang Yue. After Zhang Yue's seed of sword intent had been stabilized, her strength would grow to a whole new level. Attack! Gray Cat Eagle exclaimed and led the two helpers at the seventh sky towards Zhao Feng. Lu Tingyu's strength wasn't bad and was able to handle a seventh sky on her own. Lin Dong, however, felt slightly troubled facing the other seventh sky. Azure-haired brat, if you hand over the azure sharp swallow right now and cut off your hands and feet, I'll consider letting you live. A brutal smile appeared on Gray Cat Eagle's face. With Qi Jiu holding Uncle Lu back, the three of them at seventh sky were more than enough to take Zhao Feng and company down. Hee. Is that so? I'm willing to give the azure sharp swallow over, but I don't know whether you have the ability to take it or not. Zhao Feng spread his arms and whistled, ordering the azure sharp swallow to descend. Gray Cat Eagle paused slightly, but in the next instant, the azure sharp swallow turned into a blur that was almost unseeable by the eye that shot towards Gray Cat Eagle. Shuo, a bloody gash was left on Gray Cat Eagle's shoulder. If it wasn't because he dodged in time and protected himself with true force, he would have already been sliced in half. The feathers of the azure sharp swallow were extremely thin, and adding to the fact that its body was light, it was good at speed and offense. Therefore, Gray Cat Eagle had been injured by this sneak attack. Bastard! Gray Cat Eagle roared and charged towards the azure sharp swallow, trying to conquer it. However, the azure sharp swallow was a beast at the seventh sky whose speed was peak tier. Would it be that simple to beat? Under Zhao Feng's control, the azure sharp swallow flickered through the air time after time and flew in mysterious routes, forcing Gray Cat Eagle back. The spectators nearby were all shocked as they started to discuss. Could this brat be a rare beast tamer? Beast tamer are a rare and very welcomed occupation in the Canopy Great Country. At this moment, Zhao Feng was the safest of the lot. All he needed to do was use his mental energy to control the azure sharp swallow. The azure sharp swallow's speed and offense is perfect. Its only weakness is defense, but under my control. A smile curled on Zhao Feng's lips. His god spiritual eye could see the flaws of Gray Cat Eagle, hence giving the azure sharp swallow the advantage. On the other side, Uncle Lu and Qi Jiu fought together and the former scanned across Lu Tingyu and company. In reality, he had held back a bit to give Lu Tingyu and Lin Dong a chance for real battle experience. Lu Tingyu didn't disappoint. She was clever and had great battle prowess. She was able to easily take on someone at the seventh sky and even gain the slight upper hand. As for Lin Dong, who was in stalemate, he could barely take on the seventh sky, but this wasn't considered bad. However, what made him most unexpected was Zhao Feng. This azure-haired youth who came from outside regions could use his flying beast alone to suppress Gray Cat Eagle. After all, other than Qi Jiu, Gray Cat Eagle's strength was the strongest. This is mental energy. He's using a secret technique to control the azure sharp swallow. Could it be that he's really a beast tamer? Uncle Lu could feel the wave of mental energy from Zhao Feng. Beast tamer was a rare occupation that could turn wild beasts into pets. Those who had extraordinary mental energy had a great advantage in this path. And in reality, Zhao Feng had many chances where he could control the azure sharp swallow to finish the fight. But he wanted to understand the Lu family's strength. Meow meow. The little thieving cat sat on his shoulder and waved its paws, cheering for them. Zhao Feng nodded his head and smiled meekly, almost clapping. This scene caused Gray Cat Eagle and company almost to explode from anger. Uncle Lu was dazed. It seemed that the cat and human were just watching a show. Ha ha ha. Is the little thieving cat cheering for me? Lu Tingyu was full of joy and tried even harder, forcing her opponent to retreat. She didn't see the little thieving cat's playful expression. Fuck this cat and human. They're just watching the show and not doing anything. Lin Dong was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He already had a bad opinion of Zhao Feng. He could barely hold the seventh sky person back. If Zhao Feng helped him, they could at least turn the situation around. But the two didn't show any signs of participating. The battle had gone on for a while and Lin Dong was unable to hold on. It's about time. Uncle Lu nodded his head and his chi of half-step true spirit suddenly rose as he started counterattacking. After all, he was an elder of the family and 30 to 40% of his true force had been converted to the chi of half-step true spirit. He instantly pushed back Qi Jiu and gained the upper hand. However, Qi Jiu was stronger than he had expected and a layer of ice armor appeared on his body. Furthermore, bloodline power surged from Qi Jiu and the area nearby turned into ice. Shit! This Qi Jiu had bloodline power. Uncle Lu was stunned. The situation right now wasn't good. He originally thought that he could control the situation easily but didn't expect Qi Jiu to be so troublesome. At this time, Zhao Feng nodded his head. Hee, little thieving cat. It's time for you to shine. Meow meow. The little thieving cat shook its head unwillingly. Before it could react, Zhao Feng picked it up by its ears and threw it towards the Gray Cat Eagle. What the heck? The Gray Cat Eagle was fighting the azure sharp swallow and saw that the little thieving cat was being thrown towards him like a ball. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he stabbed out towards the little thieving cat. Shwa! The little thieving cat suddenly disappeared from his sight. Before he could react, a cat paw had slashed over his throat. Plop! The throat of the gray cat eagle burst open and blood poured down onto the ground. Meow meow! The little thieving cat reappeared. This cat knows how to turn invisible. This cat is extremely crafty. It killed the gray cat eagle in one move. The expressions of the spectators nearby changed. The little thieving cat was obviously not a normal pet. After the gray cat eagle was killed, the battle turned one-sided. Chijiu looked deeply towards Zhao Feng before leaving. Uncle Lu let out a breath and wiped his cold sweat. He had almost failed to control the situation just then. His eyes soon turned towards Zhao Feng and said cautiously, "May I ask this little friend, are you a rare beast tamer?" Beast tamer? Zhao Feng could feel the expectation and respect within Uncle Lu's eyes. "Yeah, that's right. I'm a beast tamer." Zhao Feng's thoughts spun as he nodded his head. "That's right. I'm a beast tamer." Zhao Feng replied casually as he shamelessly took this title. Uncle Lu and the present crowd had already believed to an 80 to 90% extent that he was a beast tamer. After all, they had seen Zhao Feng personally control the azure sharp swallow and suppress gray cat eagle, who was at 7th sky. Suspicion rose within the youth in black, Lin Dong. This countryside brat had suddenly become a respectable beast tamer. That's way too unbelievable. Canopy Great Country was enormous and thus, large numbers of flying beasts were required. No matter how fast a person was, even an expert at True Spirit Realm would be fatigued after a journey ranging tens of thousands of miles long. Hence, every expert had a flying pet. The golden-robed person before had a 4-winged flying cloud leopard which could be used in both combat and travel. How tiring and depressing would it be to walk tens of thousands of miles? All in all, flying pets were rare in Canopy Great Country and were fought over in some places. This meant that beast tamers were extremely welcomed in Canopy Great Country. However, it was unfortunate that the people with this occupation was too low, even fewer than array creators and pill makers. Hence, when Zhao Feng confirmed that he was a beast tamer, Uncle Lu's eyes gleamed with excitement. "So you're a beast tamer. No wonder you have such a smart and adorable pet." Lu Tingyu's pair of glistening eyes gazed admiringly towards Zhao Feng. Of the three, only Lin Dong's expression was dim and suspicious. In a normal situation, he too would have believed it, but due to the fact that he disliked Zhao Feng, he couldn't accept this reality. "Uncle Lu, Sister Ting, I've never heard of such a young beast tamer," Lin Dong asked in a manner which was against Zhao Feng. "Donger, don't be disrespectful." Uncle Lu scolded and interrupted Lin Dong in the middle of his sentence. Small families didn't have beast tamers and were extremely hard to find. For example, the overlooking Mislu family had a few beginner beast tamers that took care of the food and the healing of their pets, but it was extremely hard for them to tame Yao beasts. The overlooking Mislu family once had a professional beast tamer, but he didn't stay long and was soon hired by other families. "I don't need prove my identity to anyone." Zhao Feng glanced towards Lin Dong, his words full of confidence. "Meow meow." The little thieving cat nodded on the side and waved its paws, as if saying its owner was right. Seeing this, Uncle Lu and Lu Tingyu believed it to an even greater extent. Lin Dong was still slightly suspicious, but he didn't dare retort. If Zhao Feng wasn't a beast tamer, how could he own an azure sharp swallow with his measly 6th sky cultivation? "Beast tamer big brother, is our deal from before still valid?" Slyness flashed in Lu Tingyu's eyes. Uncle Lu smiled. "According to the deal from before, if the little thieving cat chooses to go with us, you won't stop it? Of course the deal is still valid. But it's not easy to take a pet away from a beast tamer." Zhao Feng smiled faintly. "Meow meow." The little thieving cat pounced on Zhao Feng's shoulder as it wagged its tail, declining Lu Tingyu's luring offers with a proud face. This result didn't surprise Uncle Lu. If the little thieving cat could be so easily taken away from Zhao Feng, then the latter would tarnish the title of beast tamer. Uncle Lu sighed and suggested, "How about this? Give Tinger 100 days' time. Furthermore, you're a beast tamer. I don't think you would use other methods in this process." "Of course I wouldn't, but 100 days' time." Zhao Feng purposely hesitated. Up to now, only half his task had been completed. "Hee hee. Isn't little friend finding a girl of the Lu family? Our destination is one of the 7 side families, the Lu family of the Flooding Lake City. Uncle Lu laughed and said, Flooding Lake City Lu family. Zhao Feng's heart leapt. He had finally found a chance to encounter the higher echelons of the Lu family. The Flooding Lake City Lu family is a powerful force. When we reach there, it'll be much easier for little friend to find that person. From what I know, the Flooding Lake City Lu family has a more complete family tree which would make it easier for you to find that person. Uncle Lu continued as he saw that Zhao Feng was slightly moved. Uncle Lu already knew that Zhao Feng was looking for someone on the crossing skyship. Okay. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Great. Lu Tingyu couldn't help but jump with joy and started to play with the little thieving cat. Uncle Lu let out a breath. If he could create a relationship with a beast tamer who had potential, it would be great for the overlooking Miss Lu family. They didn't realize that as Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat looked towards each other, smugness could be seen in their eyes. From the moment Zhao Feng took on the title of beast tamer, he had wanted to use this identity to go down the trail of Uncle Lu and company. What made Zhao Feng even more blessed was that they had the chance to enter one of the 7 side families of the Lu family. This was a massive help for him to find the person. Because of this, Zhao Feng gave the little thieving cat 100 low-grade primal crystal stones for its help. If it wasn't for the little thieving cat, Zhao Feng probably wouldn't have been able to encounter the Lu family so easily. Interacting with them would only cause suspicions. At the same time, Zhao Feng complained in his heart, Master, the information you've given me is far too little. There's several hundred families with the Lu name, and there are also countless people named Lu Qinxin. In reality, Zhao Feng had wrongly blamed First Elder. First Elder had never been to the Canopy Great Country, and didn't even know much personal information about that person. The relationship between them had also happened a long time ago. First Elder's true aim was to preserve Zhao Feng and guarantee his safety. The former didn't have too much hope about the situation within the 13 countries. After crossing the River of Rage, Zhao Feng and Uncle Lu and company had officially banded together. Although Uncle Lu was an elder of a branch family, he hadn't crossed the River of Rage a large number of times. Every 5 years, the overlooking Mist Province Lu family would recommend a genius or 2 to the side family. Uncle Lu didn't hide the process. Zhao Feng revealed a look of understanding. These recommendations were like the one he had gotten in the Green Leaf Village. Back then, he and Zhao Shui had been recommended to the Zhao family of the Sunfeather City, but they had walked down different paths. Lu Tingyu and Lin Dong were both recommended to the higher levels. How similar were they to Zhao Feng? Additionally, Zhao Feng could tell that Lu Tingyu's talent was far above Lin Dong's, meaning that the lives of the two would be totally different even though Lin Dong's talent wasn't bad. It was only comparable to Yonggan. Pa! Uncle Lu lightly slapped his spiritual pet bag, and a large eagle, whose wingspan was close to 10 yards, had appeared. Zhao Feng did not possess a spiritual pet bag, hence he could only be envious. Come up! Uncle Lu petted the eagle and let the group on. In terms of cultivation, this green eagle had reached the 7th sky, but in terms of speed and rarity, it wasn't as good as Zhao Feng's azure sharp swallow. However, its body size was better and could therefore carry more people. In this regard, it had an advantage over the azure sharp swallow. The Flooding Lake City Lu family wasn't too far away from the River of Rage. The distance was around half of the Cloud Country. On the way, the rushing streams and mountains caused Zhao Feng's ice to widen. The heaven-earth Yuanqi here was much denser in comparison to the mortal world. 1 in 10 people were already at Ascended Realm. In the sky, there would occasionally be flying beasts and figures of some experts at True Spirit Realm. Uncle Lu didn't find it unusual. Normal experts at True Human rank could be seen everywhere. Only those above True Human rank were rare. True Lord rank could flip the clouds with their hands and were all dominant figures. Several days later, the Green Eagle entered an area with a lake. The flooding lake was slightly famous in Canopy Great Country. There were a few dozens factions and families here that were highly ranked. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye scanned across this area and found that the heaven-earth Yuanqi was even purer, and the chances of precious resources appearing was even higher. In the flooding lake city, the Lu side family is one of the three strongest forces. The flooding lake city is straight ahead. Uncle Lu had been here several times before and explained to Zhao Feng. In reality, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye had already seen the flooding lake city ahead. He had even seen the structure of it. The entire flooding lake formed a heart shape. The part curved inwards was almost at the center of the lake. The flooding lake city was at the center of the island. The instant the green eagle flew into the flooding lake city, Uncle Lu and company became quiet and cautious. There were occasional powerful aura belonging to those at the half-step true spirit realm or true human rank that flew by on top of the flooding lake city. With his god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng couldn't help but inspect and compare this bustling place with the 13 countries. The latter was indeed just a countryside. The flooding lake Lu family was located in the east side of the city and was in charge of a large amount of land. There was a rule to entering the flooding lake city. Large flying beasts had to be kept inside the spiritual pet bags. They weren't allowed inside the city. Uncle Lu silently put the eagle away and descended onto the ground, advancing towards the city. Zhao Feng was slightly depressed. He didn't have a spiritual pet bag, nor could he afford one. Stop! A few guards flew over and intercepted Zhao Feng. His azure sharp swallow was considered a large flying pet since it was several yards long and would disturb others inside. There were many guards in the air sitting on flying beasts, their strengths ranging from the 5th to the 7th sky with the leaders reaching the half-step true spirit realm. Zhao Feng had two choices: leave the azure sharp swallow outside. But this choice meant that other experts would be able to steal it. 2. Give up on going inside the city. Zhao Feng sighed. It was his first time here, and he didn't know anything nor was he familiar with the lands. Hence, he could only leave the azure sharp swallow outside. He decided to leave the azure sharp swallow in midair, and could only keep watch on it with his god's spiritual eye. Right at this time Uncle Lu spoke. My esteemed sirs, according to the rules of each city, beast tamers are allowed to take their pets inside the city. In any world, regardless of how strict the rules were, there would always be a small number of people with special authority. For example, when one reached the true lord rank, if they wanted to ride into the city with their pets, no one could stop them. The rules were worthless to them. Beast tamers were also a special group of people as they were extremely low in numbers within Canopy Great Country. Furthermore, beast tamers usually had more beasts and the number of spiritual pet bags might not be enough. Therefore, every city would take care of them. Beast tamer, the leading guard at half-step true spirit realm, and looked suspiciously towards Zhao Feng. The other guards didn't believe him as well. The flooding lake city was an enormous city in Canopy Great Country, and there were obviously many beast tamers within the city. But these beast tamers all had some fame and the guards recognized them. The one-eyed azure-haired youth in front of them looked wicked and evil. No matter how you looked at it, he didn't seem like a beast tamer. Haha, when did the flooding lake area have a youth beast tamer? This one would like to learn a bit. Enthused laugh sounded. As the sentence finished, a purple armored youth riding a two-headed red bird flew over. Young Master Lu. Leader Lu. The guards all greeted this newcomer with respectful expressions. This purple armored youth was also at half-step true spirit realm, but his aura was even stronger than Uncle Lu's. His chi of true spirit has reached 60%. Zhao Feng was slightly moved. It was Uncle Lu who immediately recognized this youth. Young Master Lu. The purple armored youth inspected Uncle Lu and felt that they were slightly familiar. Your Uncle Lu immediately told him their identity. Oh, so it's the branch family from the overlooking Mist Lu family. I almost forgot about it. It's the time of the year for the branch families to send their recommendations in. Young Master Lu Yuan finally remembered. In the past, when Uncle Lu had sent over the branch family disciples to the flooding Lake Lu family, he had seen this young master. Through the introductions, Zhao Feng found out that this young Master Lu Yuan was the stepson of the head of the Lu family and was outstanding in the younger generation. This is Zhao Feng, a beast tamer I just met who came with us to the flooding lake city. Uncle Lu introduced Zhao Feng. Young Master Lu Yuan faintly nodded his head, not placing much importance on Zhao Feng being a beast tamer. In this era, beast tamers were extremely welcomed and there were cases of people pretending to be one. It's my honor to meet such a young beast tamer. Coincidentally, my two-headed flaming rage bird's attitude seems to be very chaotic. Could beast tamer Zhao help a bit or two? As soon as Lu Yuan's words finished, the two-headed flaming rage bird below him screeched and a wave of flames appeared. Lu Yuan was forced off the two-headed flaming rage bird's back. Zhao Feng laughed coldly in his heart. This Lu Yuan was an actor that had purposely enraged the two-headed flaming rage bird in order to cause him trouble. Everyone could see that the timing of the bird's enraging moment was too coincidental. Uncle Lu and company wanted to say something but stopped themselves. After all, if Zhao Feng was a true beast tamer, such everyday problems like this should be solvable. Furthermore, they wanted to see Zhao Feng's beast taming powers. Sure. However, I'm not doing it for free, Zhao Feng said calmly as he glanced at the enraged bird. A reward? Everyone paused. This Zhao Feng wasn't easy to treat, but true beast tamers weren't either. As long as you can make my little red flames calm down, I can satisfy any requirement, Lu Yuan said confidently. Zhao Feng immediately asked Lu Yuan to help find a girl of the Lu family. No problem, Lu Yuan said without hesitation. His little red flames had become angry by his will. If Zhao Feng could truly calm it down, it would display his true skills. Furthermore, a beast tamer was someone that even the flooding Lake Lu family needed to build a good relationship with. Normal requirements could be easily satisfied. Zhao Feng nodded his head and slowly walked towards the two-headed flaming rage bird. The two-headed flaming rage bird flapped its wings and the wall of flames rose, as if showing off to Zhao Feng. Behave! Behave! Zhao Feng smiled and reached out with a finger and rotated it in circles. At the same moment, he walked slowly towards the two-headed flaming rage bird. Meow meow! The little thieving cat also appeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder and bared its teeth towards the two-headed flaming rage bird. The latter stiffened and didn't move. Zhao Feng's finger that was drawing circles seemed to contain a mysterious power that could calm people down. The little thieving cat's actions also seemed to have some effect. The human and cat arrived safely in front of the two-headed flaming rage bird. Behave! Behave! Zhao Feng reached out and petted the two-headed flaming rage bird's head. This scene stunned everyone nearby. In front of the two-headed flaming rage bird, Zhao Feng's figure was like a dwarf compared to it. But he had used such a simple tactic to calm the bird down, and the latter was extremely quiet. Lu Yuan was shocked and immediately whistled, but the two-headed flaming rage bird only trembled slightly and didn't have any obvious reaction. At this time, Zhao Feng had stood on top of the bird. No one can ever stand safely on little red flames' back without my allowance. Only beast tamers might be able to. When Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat both stood on two of the two-headed flaming rage bird, Lu Yuan found that his little red flames was trembling. Meow! Meow! The little thieving cat copied Zhao Feng's action, patting its paw on the little red flame's head, as if saying, Behave! Lu Yuan, Uncle Lu and company all had bright expressions. This was especially so for Lu Yuan as his face twitched. His little red flames had a fiery temper and had never been so humiliated. That little cat dared to play with little red flames. Although Lu Yuan was slightly angered, he was still polite. Master Zhao is indeed able to interact with animals. This one will satisfy your requirement when I return to the family. N. Zhao Feng nodded his head slightly like a true beast tamer. The more he acted in this manner, the more Lu Yuan and company had to be careful. A beast tamer wasn't easy to find even for the flooding Lake Lu family. With Lu Yuan leading, everyone passed smoothly and no one stopped Zhao Feng from taking his azure sharp swallow. When his title of beast tamer was recognized, he could use this privilege. Beast tamers could not only control their own pets, even the pets of others nearby would be unusually quiet. Soon, Zhao Feng and company entered the flooding Lake Lu family as guests. It was Uncle Lu and company who received better treatment due to Zhao Feng. The flooding Lake Lu family had even sent an elder at True Spirit Realm to serve Zhao Feng. This elder greeted Zhao Feng and promised to give the first-tier treatment to Zhao Feng. First-tier treatment was almost the treatment glorious elders received. Glorious elders usually needed to be at the True Spirit Realm to receive this first-tier treatment. Can you give me some time to consider? Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly but didn't immediately agree. His most important task right now was to complete his master's mission. He also remembered that this person would help organize him when they received the letter. But if First Elder was to know that Zhao Feng had the potential to become a Tier 1 guest of a major family in Canopy Great Country, he would probably tell him to immediately agree and not to send some letter. First Elder's intention was to settle Zhao Feng in Canopy Great Country, and that letter was just a connection. However, becoming a Tier 1 guest had even better treatment than core disciples. Zhao Feng didn't even need connections. His fake beast tamer title's welcoming had far exceeded expectations. This was something Zhao Feng hadn't believed. But obviously, Zhao Feng didn't know his master's true intentions and only had the thought of sending the letter to the true owner. This is a flooding Lu token. With this, Brother Zhao can enter the territory of the flooding Lake Lu family without restrictions. The elder at the True Spirit Realm wasn't surprised nor unhappy. Instead, he gave Zhao Feng a token. Flooding Lu token? Uncle Lu couldn't help but reveal an envious look. Beast tamers were far too rare in Canopy Great Country and were occupations which forces fought over. This flooding Lu token represented Zhao Feng's noble guest identity. With this token, Zhao Feng's actions in the flooding lake area would be far smoother. Only when Zhao Feng's discussion had finished was it Uncle Lu and company's turn. You two come over and test your talent. The elder scanned Lu Tingyu and Lu Dong faintly and said indifferently, Tinger, go. Uncle Lu was full of expectation and nervousness. The True Spirit Realm elder didn't take out any testing items. Instead, he closed his eyes and felt Lu Tingyu's pulse. Bloodline inheritance. This is the bloodline of our Lu family ancestor, the elder exclaimed. A faint green-colored blood appeared on Lu Tingyu's skin like emerald. Bloodlines were rare even in Canopy Great Country. Furthermore, Lu Tingyu's bloodline was the of the Lu family ancestors. This disturbed the upper echelons of the Lu family. Lu Tingyu and Lu Dong had succeeded in entering the flooding Lake Lu family and had the opportunity to turn from carps into fish. Witnessing this scene, Zhao Feng remembered when he and Zhao Shui had entered the Zhao family. That night, Zhao Feng stayed in a guest room within the Lu family. Lu Yuan also handed over a booklet over to Zhao Feng containing list after list of information. The names on the booklet were all Lu Qinxin. Zhao Feng couldn't help but admire Lu Yuan's efficiency rate. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell Master Zhao that the daughter of the flooding Lake City Lord is also named Lu Qinxin. Lu Yuan said after being hesitant for a period of time. Oh, Zhao Feng didn't pay much attention to it as there were far too many people with the same name. The key point is that this Lu Qinxin is finding a husband through sparring. Lu Yuan continued as sweat appeared on his head. Finding a husband through sparring? Zhao Feng couldn't help but shake his head speechlessly. Canopy Great Country was enormous and the number of people named Lu Qinxin wasn't low in number. It was only a coincidence that a person named Lu Qinxin was finding a husband through sparring. How old is the daughter of the city lord and what's her cultivation like? Although Zhao Feng thought the likelihood of her being the person he was looking for was low, he still asked for assurance. According to logic, the receiver's cultivation and age would be around the same as First Elders. But nothing was certain. Once someone entered True Spirit Realm, their ages couldn't be calculated. Those over 100 could look like 20 or so. At the same time, there were geniuses who had entered True Spirit Realm at the age of 20. As long as one entered the True Spirit Realm, regardless of age, they would become people on the same level who had the possibility to get to know each other. Hence, this left Zhao Feng with two restrictions in the list. The person's cultivation wasn't too far away from First Elders. At least, it was not much lower than his. Their ages wouldn't be too distant, and to make sure no one was skipped, they had to be over 20. There were a few more requirements such as travel hobbies. The distance from Canopy Great Country to the 13 countries was extremely far, and only those who liked to travel would leave a great country in order to go an inferior place such as the 13 countries. The daughter of the city lord is extremely mysterious and likes to spend most of her time traveling. Her cultivation should have reached half-step True Spirit Realm. She's not too old, probably younger than 20. As for her looks, Some say she's a beauty while others say she's hideous. Lu Yuan said uncertainly. The flooding lake city lord is also of the Lu family. Why is it that you don't even know her age or looks? Zhao Feng felt that this was unusual. According to his requirements, this Lu Qinxin could be the person he was looking for. Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. Not only is the daughter of the city lord is mysterious, even her mother is veiled in mystery. She and the Sea Lord had only spent a short period of time together before disappearing. However, the City Lord still hasn't forgotten her, choosing not to wed ever since. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. The daughter of the City Lord was too mysterious. The information about her wasn't accurate at all. The battles to decide the fiancé are only a couple days away. If Master Zhao is interested, you can enter as well. As long as one's age doesn't surpass 25 and has the capabilities to defeat her, they can become the son-in-law of the city lord. Lu Yuan said in a probing tone. Zhao Feng shook his head. Battles to decide the fiancé? He wasn't interested in the slightest. However, he had thought of meeting this girl. After all, she was still on the list and couldn't be dismissed. Next, Zhao Feng perused through the booklet. Every person on the booklet was named Lu Qinxin, and they ranged from teenagers to those over 100. All of these people had come from the Lu family but had all walked onto different paths in life. Under the restrictions, Zhao Feng began inspecting the list and ended up with only 10 that fitted the requirements. Of these 10, only 2 had reached True Spirit Realm, and the others were all at the half-step True Spirit Realm. These 2 are indeed unusual. One's an elder of the Qin Sword Palace, and the other's an empress. Zhao Feng couldn't help but take a cold breath. 1 emperor, 3 sects for families. The Qin Sword Palace elder and the empress were both from one of the 8 great forces. Furthermore, their ages and cultivation all suited the requirements. Zhao Feng let out a breath as he massaged his temples. His mission had finally found its way. Apart from Goddess Qin of the Qin Sword Palace and Empress Qin, it wasn't too hard to see the others. Zhao Feng recorded the list and information into his mind and went to rest. His cultivation hadn't grown much on the journey from the 13 countries to Canopy Great Country, but his foundation was extremely stable. The late stages of the 7th sky were extremely hard to reach, and every step required countless effort and price. Back at the Alliance Banquet, Zhao Feng would have taken at least 2 to 3 years to reach the 7th sky under normal circumstances if he hadn't eaten the shedding spiritual pill. After breaking the ghost mark, Zhao Feng's cultivation had dropped to the 6th sky, but he didn't regret it. Now, Zhao Feng had reached the holy cultivation lands of a great country. The heaven-earth yuan-qi and resources were far better, and thus, his cultivation speed would definitely exceed the 13 countries. After cultivating quietly for the night, the second day, Zhao Feng first went to greet Uncle Lu and company. Uncle Lu began to depart as he wore a red face. After all, there was a prodigy was from his branch family. Lu Tingyu was still immersed by the little thieving cat and continued to play with it. This old one will be leaving soon. I hope Master Zhao can look after Tinger and Donger. Uncle Lu handed Zhao Feng a faint silver bag before he left. This? Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. It was a spiritual peg bag worth at least 100,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. This is just a little gratitude. It isn't much. Uncle Lu smiled. Although 100,000 low-grade primal crystal stones was a large sum, it wasn't much for a family. Uncle Lu had calculated that Zhao Feng urgently needed a spiritual pet bag, as it would be troublesome with his azure sharp swallow. Thank you, Uncle Lu. Zhao Feng accepted the spiritual pet bag. He couldn't afford a spiritual pet bag as of present. When he witnessed Zhao Feng accept the bag, Uncle Lu left. Beast tamers were welcomed everywhere and were people that families and factions fought over. If Zhao Feng stayed in the flooding lake city, he would definitely be treated as a guest of the Lu family and would be able to take care of Lu Tinger and Lu Dong. Zhao Feng understood Uncle Lu's intent as he inspected this spiritual pet bag. Spiritual pet bags could store beasts within and was done so by using a high-skilled array. The difference between the interspatial bracelet and the spiritual pet bag was that the latter could store live items and had certain interactions with the yuan-qi outside. But the disadvantage was also obvious. Because the dimension width in spiritual pet bags were large, it wasn't stable and was usually only able to be used for 10 years. Zhao Feng's interspatial bracelet only had a meter cube space inside, but the dimension was extremely stable. It could be used for hundreds of years of even thousands of years without collapsing. As for why the little thieving cat could stay inside the interspatial bracelet for such a long time and enter and exit it as it pleased, Zhao Feng didn't know why. As he now had a spiritual pet bag, Zhao Feng put the azure sharp swallow within, and the little thieving cat also moved houses. Apart from bringing some primal crystal stones and colorful stones, the little thieving cat carried the flask of alcohol, which was even bigger than itself. This was taken from the 100 Graves forbidden ground and could create wine by itself. Since Zhao Feng didn't drink much, all of it went to the little thieving cat. Meow meow. The little thieving cat snuggled against Zhao Feng's face before jumping excitedly into the spiritual pet bag. The spiritual pet bag had a radius of tens of yards. The azure sharp swallow and little thieving cat got along well, but the former seemed to be fearful of the latter. After the pets settled, Zhao Feng walked out by himself. With the floating Lu token in his hands, there wouldn't be any restrictions for him inside the Lu family's territory. As a guest, Zhao Feng's actions instantly raised the attention of the Lu family. They sent people to lead him around and guards to protect him in secret. The treatment and care was perfect. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. If it weren't for the letter he had to send, he wouldn't mind staying in the floating lake city for a while. Master Zhao, are you going to participate in the fiancé battle? The person leading the way was Lu Yuan. The latter knew Zhao Feng's intent. The young mistress was called Lu Qinxin and was extremely mysterious. Zhao Feng was definitely focused on her. Not participating, only spectating. Zhao Feng was somewhat speechless. Lu Yuan smiled and didn't speak as he led the way. About half the time it took tea to be made. In front of the city lord's mansion was a stage with a red gold array spanning 100 to 200 yards in area. Next to the stage were mountains of people shouting and cheering. There are a total of 7 days to fight for the fiancé, and this is the last day. In the entire flooding lake city, no male is her match. Young Mistress Lu is indeed great. Almost no one is able to block 3 moves in total. Discussion was bustling in front of the city lord's mansion. At this time, the mysterious daughter of the city lord stood on the stage covered in a white dress. She was like a goddess. Just her figure alone gave everyone countless thoughts. She wore a hijab, revealing only her watery eyes, and gave the crowd a quiet and calm feeling. Although they couldn't see her appearance, her aura alone made the hearts of the crowd thump. In terms of aura alone, none of the women Zhao Feng knew could be compared to use this one. Instinctively, Zhao Feng used his god's spiritual eye to look at her face. Although he didn't open his bloodline power, it could still penetrate through a small section. But what made Zhao Feng shocked was that the hijab the daughter of the city lord wore seemed to contain a mysterious power which made his abilities fail. Furthermore, Lu Qinxin seemed to sense something. No matter how fast he reacted, the daughter of the city lord's eyes still landed on him. After all, Zhao Feng's one-eyed azure-haired appearance was extremely outstanding. Because Lu Yuan was leading the way, Zhao Feng immediately walked straight onto the city lord's side spectating stage. This one greets Uncle Lu. Lu Yuan was the stepson of the head of the Lu family and went to greet the city lord while introducing Zhao Feng. The city lord nodded his head faintly and glanced at Zhao Feng. The latter immediately felt a pressure comparable to Mount Tai crush upon him. A casual glance from the city lord had almost shattered his true force. This flooding lake city lord has at least reached the true mystic realm, or maybe even higher. It's certain that no one in the 13 countries is his match. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and calmly bowed towards the city lord. The city lord's face was written with praise. Mortals say that through youths come heroes. Such young beast tamers are indeed rare. Zhao Feng could only reply respectfully. He was sure that the city lord had seen that his mental energy source was far greater than others, and even his bloodline power might have been detected. Hehe. You're definitely here for the fiancé battles, right? The flooding lake city lord was full of smiles. Zhao Feng immediately hiccuped and almost fell over. You're definitely here for the fiancé battles, right? The flooding Lake City Lord was full of smiles which made Zhao Feng's heart skip a beat. What he was scared of came. Presently, the City Lord was certain that Zhao Feng was here to participate in the fiancé battles, but if Zhao Feng rejected, that would be giving the City Lord zero face in front of everyone. In the flooding Lake Lu family, the City Lord was definitely one of the most powerful people and had even surpassed the head of the Lu family. The City Lord was usually an expert from the Lu family who had the ability to rule this area. After all, there were many forces in the flooding lake area with 2 forces just below that of the Lu families. Hehe. Uncle Lu's eyes are indeed sharp. Brother Zhao is indeed interested. Lu Yuan signaled to Zhao Feng for his eyes. No one dared to not give face to the City Lord on such a big occasion. Doing so would be the same as offending the whole flooding Lake Lu family. Zhao Feng swore in his heart. He had the feeling he had been schemed against, but all he could do at this moment was faintly nod his head. I am indeed slightly interested, but all I wanted to do is see what she looks like. As for the battles, this junior doesn't dare participate. He gave face to the City Lord by saying that all he wanted was to see her looks. Furthermore, his last sentence gave him a step back. I felt that we would get along the second we met. This is the last day you're going on to fight after. Okay. The City Lord smiled and asked. Hearing this, Zhao Feng almost fainted. Why doesn't this flooding Lake City Lord let him go? Lu Yuan laughed in his heart and led Zhao Feng into the spectating stands. In the spectating stands, Zhao Feng's face was slightly unnatural. And on the other side, the flooding Lake City Lord had a playful smile on his lips. To be able to become a beast tamer at such a young age and possess a large source of mental energy, as well as the aura of an ancient bloodline that's even stronger than our Lu families. How could I let such a genius pass by? That was it. Ever since he saw Zhao Feng, the City Lord had discovered his potential. The City Lord's cultivation was immeasurable and had a bloodline himself, therefore, he could sense Zhao Feng's bloodline without the latter noticing. In Canopy Great Country, almost every big family had bloodlines. And to preserve these bloodlines, most would choose people with bloodlines. Those with bloodlines were nobles that surpassed normal people due to their bloodlines. And nobles obviously married nobles. Being someone who had a bloodline inheritance and had a large source of mental energy at such a young age, the City Lord had his eyes set on this beast tamer. Poor Zhao Feng was extremely frustrated while sitting in the spectator stands. With his intelligence, he almost understood why. This flooding Lake City Lord shouldn't be forcing me to marry his daughter, right? Zhao Feng thought in his heart, but thinking about it, why not plan a plan for this plan? His purpose was to find out whether the daughter of the City Lord was the person he was looking for or not. And with Zhao Feng's 6th sky cultivation, he probably wouldn't be her match. If he lost, he would have no chance in becoming the future husband. Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng felt better. Right at this point in time, a bulky male with red hair stepped onto the stage. Red lines appeared on his arms. It's the Zhong family's Tiankue. Lu Yuan was slightly moved as he stared at the bulky man. Zhao Feng's left eye stared at Zhong Tiankue's arms and realized that the red lines weren't tattoos but came from bloodline power. Zhong Tiankue is one of the 10 prodigies of the flooding Lake City and comes from one of the 3 big forces, the Zhong family. Even people from the Zhong family are coming. The crowd from below the stage discussed. Today was the 7th and last day. There were less people going up, but each was stronger than the last. Zhong Tiankue was a powerful youth. His chi of half-step true spirit has reached 60% and has a bloodline inheritance. Zhao Feng couldn't accurately measure this person's strength, but he was sure that even if he went all out, the chances of winning were low. Zhong Tiankue stood on the stage and his red hair was like fire. At the same time, the red lines on his arms lit up. Zhong Tiankue's aura erupted like a volcano eruption, and the searing heat made the mouths of the spectators below dry. Sorry. Zhong Tiankue's body was immersed in red light, and like a flaming giant, he charged towards Lu Qinxin, who was clad in white. Lu Qinxin's eyes were still calm, and a jade hairbrush appeared in her hand. Jade hairbrush. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat as he remembered the half of a jade hairbrush First Elder gave him. The jade hairbrush in front of his eyes had a unique aura and a green glow appeared. Shoo! Streaks of green light appeared in the air in different shapes. Straight lines, curved, circles. Each of these lights contained power comparable to the seventh sky and could instantly crush the walls of a normal city. The power of each of these streaks are comparable to Zhang Yue's seed of sword intent in terms of power, and all of them come at once. Zhao Feng's heart shook. Lu Qinxin's strength was stronger than what he imagined. No wonder she dared set up a fight for her future husband. In this generation and in the flooding lake area alone, it was hard to find someone who was on par with her. However, Zhong Tiankui's strength was also not to be underestimated. His flaming aura spread outwards and actually blocked Lu Qinxin's attack head-on. In a short amount of time, Lu Qinxin had the advantage, but Zhong Tiankui wasn't on the losing end. This is the clash between the geniuses of Canopy Great Country? Zhao Feng was stunned. Just Zhong Tiankui alone was able to sweep all the geniuses of the 13 countries. But thinking about it, the flooding lake area's cultivation advancement had far exceeded the 13 countries. Just the flooding lake Lu family's strength alone could crush the 13 clans alone, and there was two others forces here with numerous clans and families. After exchanging a dozen or so moves, the jade hairbrush in her hand waved. Shwa! Instantly, an even longer green streak of light appeared, and the edges of it was covered in a mysterious silver light. With a pong, Zhong Tiankui was sent flying by an immeasurable power, and a bloody gash was left on his shoulder. What kind of power is that to be able to break through my flaming dragon protective body so easily? Zhong Tiankui pulled himself up from the ground with a pale face. Although he was one of the 10 prodigies in the flooding lake city, he wasn't the city lord's daughter's match. From the beginning till now, no one knew her true strength since she never appeared. Only till recently, when the city lord wanted to host his daughter's wedding, did they know a genius had appeared. After Zhong Tiankui lost, no one went up. The males below the stage had red faces and didn't dare raise their heads. The flooding lake city was a major city and was a place where experts were as numerous as the clouds. However, at this moment, the males of the younger generation had been stepped on by a woman. Brother Lu, you're the stepson of the head of the family, so you don't have any blood relationship with her. Why don't you go challenge? Zhao Feng glanced towards Lu Yuan curiously. Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. Zhong Tiankui is ranked top 3 of the 10 prodigies, and I am below him. I had already lost to Qinxin a few days ago. Zhao Feng understood. Lu Yuan was the stepson of the head of the family, and if he was able to marry the daughter of the city lord, he would easily be able to enter the core of the Lu family. However, the daughter of the city lord was too terrifying. No one was able to stop her. Of course, Zhao Feng also thought he couldn't beat her. Even Zhong Tiankui, who had bloodline power and was at half-step true spirit realm, had lost. Zhao Feng was only at the 6th sky right now. For the next half-day, youths occasionally came over to challenge but was defeated in a move or two. Looking at the rumpled youths, cold sweat appeared in Zhao Feng's hands. What was even more infuriating was the city lord's smile towards him. Seeing that the sun was about to go down and the battles were coming to an end. End. Please end already. Zhao Feng felt as if this day was a year long. From the current situation, even if he went up there, was no chance of him winning. The last stage, the sparring stage, was unusually quiet. The daughter of the city lord, Lu Qinxin, stood in the corner of the sparring stage quietly. She didn't have much hope for this time, so her attitude was good. The flooding lake city lord sighed. Suddenly his eyes spun onto the azure-haired youth. From the moment I saw you, I knew we would get along. Don't disappoint me. A playful smile appeared on the city lord's face. Zhao Feng cursed in his heart. Who was it that would get along with you? But under the gazes of the crowd, he couldn't resist the city lord's wishes. Oh well, I can't beat her strength anyways. All I need to do is check if she's the one. Zhao Feng's eyes sparkled and paid closer attention to the jade hairbrush in Lu Qinxin's hands. Apart from the fact that her age was slightly younger, her cultivation and hobbies all suited the requirements. Especially the jade hairbrush. It was similar to the one Zhao Feng had. Even if this Lu Qinxin wasn't the one Zhao Feng was finding, there would definitely be some connection. Brother Zhao, go and marry the daughter of the city lord. This is something countless people are envious of. Lu Yuan joked. Zhao Feng leapt casually onto the sparring stage. Lu Qinxin's pair of eyes landed on Zhao Feng with interest. At the same time a bright voice sounded, "This is a young beast tamer Zhao Feng. All Master Zhao wants is to see the daughter of the city lord's looks and came especially to participate." The crowd below instantly broke out into discussion. Such a young beast tamer, participating just to see her looks? Zhao Feng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. His respectful words had been said to the public. At this moment, even Lu Qinxin was looking at him in a weird manner. Hearing the shouting of the crowd, Zhao Feng was speechless. He thought about how he had swept across the entire younger generation of the 13 countries. Was he going to lose to a girl here? He took a light breath and regained his composure. There was no retreat, hence why not use a plan to defeat this plan? Firstly, the city lord's words couldn't be gone against. Secondly, he wanted to see if she was the one. Lu Qinxin, who was clad in white, spoke with interest. Master Zhao comes from afar. This makes Qinxin feel happy. As long as you can beat Qinxin, so what if you want to see me? I'll be willing to give you all of myself. Lu Qinxin's voice contained a tinge of playfulness which caused the crowd to roar in laughter. No one believed a youth at the sixth sky could defeat Qinxin. Of the challengers, Zhao Feng's cultivation could be said to be rock bottom. After watching Lu Qinxin fight, even Zhao Feng had to admit there was a large gap between the two. If it was in a life-death battle, Zhao Feng was confident he could retreat without injury and even turn the situation around. But right now it was a head-on clash. Qinxin, this young beast tamer, is an esteemed guest of the Lu family. His age and cultivation is lower than yours. Can you suppress your cultivation? The flooding Lake City Lord suddenly said. The instant he said this, the crowd once again broke out into discussion. What type of background did this young beast tamer have to make the city lord look at him differently? This, as father wishes. Qinxin will restrict her cultivation to seventh sky. Lu Qinxin's eyes furrowed as she glanced towards Zhao Feng, but soon became normal. She had obviously not taken Zhao Feng as a true opponent. In terms of strength, Zhao Feng was far weaker than the opponents before. Although there was some resistance in the crowd, the city lord and his daughter had come to an agreement, so it didn't matter. Furthermore, in their eyes, even if Lu Qinxin suppressed her cultivation to seventh sky, she could destroy Zhao Feng. Hearing this, Zhao Feng almost cursed aloud. Why was the city lord going easy on him? If Lu Qinxin suppressed her cultivation to the seventh sky, Zhao Feng's chances of winning reached 50%, and if he held back, it definitely wouldn't escape the city lord's fiery eyes. Lady Qinxin doesn't need to be so courteous. I'd rather see your unrestrained strength, so even if I lose, I wouldn't moan or groan. Zhao Feng immediately declined. Lu Qinxin smiled and gave Zhao Feng a higher review. If it was some other youth, they probably loved the fact that she was suppressing her cultivation. Not only would they get a beauty, they would also become the son-in-law of the city lord. Begin. A bright voice sounded. The person speaking was at the true spirit realm. As soon as the words finished, Zhao Feng lightly slapped a silver bag on his waist and summoned the azure sharp swallow. The azure sharp swallow screeched and turned into an azure blur that shot towards Lu Qinxin. In terms of speed, the azure sharp swallow was at the peak amongst the seven skies, and under Zhao Feng's control, the swallow's attacking routes were all perfect. Zhao Feng retreated and kept a healthy distance between himself and Lu Qinxin. At this moment, he was going to use the methods of a beast tamer to fight. Lu Qinxin lightly shouted and sent green streaks of light towards the azure sharp swallow. Zhao Feng's expression moved. Lu Qinxin's attacks could turn in midair. This level of agility had exceeded the limits of the seventh sky. Usually only those at the true spirit realm could do this. Even though Lu Qinxin's cultivation had been suppressed to the seventh sky, her insights and skills still remained. All that happened was that the power was decreased by half. Boom! The azure sharp swallow flapped its wings and successfully blocked Lu Qinxin's attack. It paused for a moment before darting towards Lu Qinxin's back. The azure sharp swallow was extremely agile and seemed to have the smartness of a human. Although Lu Qinxin's cultivation was suppressed, she could still bring critical harm to the swallow. However, with Zhao Feng controlling the bird, the swallow's speed, agility and offense had reached its maximum and could escape every time. After exchanging blows for a period of time, the spectators looked at the young beast tamer in a different light. Zhao Feng's expression was solemn. Lu Qinxin's actions were all casual and hadn't used all her true power yet. She still hasn't used the jade hairbrush. Zhao Feng's eyes glimmered and a dark azure bow appeared in his hand. In the middle was an ice lotus mark. 3 arrows appeared on the luoho bow. Bow? The spectators watching smiled faintly, not surprised. Bows were suitable for beast tamers because their pets would be a meat shield while they would support from afar. Bang! So. The luoho arrows shot through the air and amidst a rumbling of thunder, suddenly broke through the sound barrier, causing a cold flow that pierced towards Lu Qinxin's small flaw. When Zhao Feng took out the luoho bow, Lu Qinxin stopped underestimating the former. Zhao Feng's luoho bow contained the lightning inheritance and would create cold flows that would affect the opponent's speed. Although the luoho arrows couldn't injure Lu Qinxin, it could distract her, synchronizing perfectly with the azure sharp swallow. In a short amount of time, Zhao Feng succeeded in facing off against Lu Qinxin. As long as a tiny flaw appeared on Lu Qinxin's body, the arrows would shoot straight towards that area and would synchronize with the azure sharp swallow. This Lu Qinxin isn't simple. Excluding my bloodline power, I've been using all my strength, but that still isn't able to take care of her. Zhao Feng was extremely wary. Shua! The jade hairbrush appeared in Lu Qinxin's hand once again and formed green streaks that blocked the arrows as well as the azure sharp swallow while attacking Zhao Feng at the same time. Zhao Feng's figure flashed like an illusion. He was still able to fire the luoho bow and control the azure sharp swallow while traveling at high speed. It could be said he was doing 3 things with one mind. Not only that, Zhao Feng's offense became even stronger. The luoho bow and azure sharp swallow complemented each other perfectly. Lu Qinxin felt troubled when her cultivation was suppressed to the 7th sky. If I used my full strength immediately and instantly attacked the beast tamer himself, it would have ended the battle straight away. Lu Qinxin sighed in her heart, knowing that she had underestimated the enemy. The youth in front of her was a beast tamer who was at the 6th sky, yet had the capabilities to exchange blows with someone at the half-step true spirit realm. The crowd watching sighed and exclaimed. If this continued, Zhao Feng would be the person most likely to succeed. The flooding Lake City Lord sat on the spectator stand with a smile on his face. This brat has such precise archery skills. If Qinxin's cultivation wasn't restricted to 7th sky, the winner will be hard to decide. The city lord finally saw a sizzle of hope. Zhao Feng's display had exceeded his imagination. His beast tamer powers, archery skills, and use of lightning had all reached a point where others could only sigh. Across those his age, Zhao Feng's strength could top the flooding lake area. But Qinxin probably won't lose this easily. The flooding Lake City Lord's expression was calm. Right at this moment, Lu Qinxin waved her jade hairbrush, and the edges of the green strikes were covered in a mysterious silver. Lu Qinxin's hair was like a flowing waterfall as her veil gently blew. A silver light appeared in her eyes. The color was like limitless space, cold and quiet. Bloodline power. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. In addition to the power the attacks from the jade hairbrush emitted, the light seemed to come from the ancient space that crushed downwards. Bloodline power, and an ancient bloodline inheritance. Zhao Feng's bloodline power boiled. Wang. A faint azure layer of light spun around his body like a tattoo. It seemed to be from ancient times, old and noble while containing some wickedness within. Bang. So. The luoho bow pierced through the air and carried a faint azure red shadow which caused its power to rise dramatically. Pong. The clash between the bloodline powers caused the protective arrays to ripple. The spectators below were stunned. His bloodline inheritance is even purer than Qinxin's. The flooding Lake City Lord was overjoyed. Lu Qinxin only felt her bloodline power tremble slightly. This was something that had never happened before. Although the quantity of her bloodline power exceeded Zhao Feng's, she didn't gain any advantage. The battle was rising to its peak. Zhao Feng used his Luoho Bao to complement the Azure Sharp Swallow and continued wearing Lu Qinxin down. Lu Qinxin had used all her power she could at the seventh sky, and a layer of ice had appeared on her snow-white clothes. Of course, if this battle continued, Zhao Feng would still lose because Lu Qinxin's recovery rate and true force quantity both exceeded Zhao Feng's. If I don't go all out now, my chances of winning will go down by 5%. As he came to this conclusion, Zhao Feng began to expend his true force rapidly. If his true force was expended, he would lose honorably. Meow meow. The little thieving cat suddenly appeared from the spiritual pet bag with stars in its eyes. It hiccuped, then took a drink from a flask that was bigger than itself. The spectators and those in battle were confused. Could it be that he has another strong pet? Lu Qinxin's expression changed slightly. Meow meow. The little thieving cat put the flask away, then started drunkenly walking around slowly. What is this guy doing? Zhao Feng's heart jumped. The little thieving cat was covered in the smell of wine and walked around the stage like it didn't know what was doing. The clash between him and Lu Qinxin could rip a normal cultivator at the sixth or seventh sky into shreds. Drunk step. Only the eyes of the flooding Lake City Lord were unusual. The little thieving cat's footsteps looked queer but seemed to contain something that surpassed nature. In every move, it evaded the most powerful clashes. The clash between Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin created powerful waves of power that rippled the protective array. In this situation, even experts at the sixth and seventh sky would most likely die. However, at this moment, a gray cat the size of a palm walked into the battle circle, shaking and swinging. This caused some girls watching to scream in horror. The little thieving cat was acting like it was walking on a tightrope. The slightest mistake would mean death. Sizzles of lightning and shockwaves exploded throughout the stage. Sounds of booming could be heard almost every second. Gulu. The little thieving cat fell onto the floor and dodged a green sword chi blade that swished over its head. It then immediately rolled across the ground and evaded an arc of lightning. Even Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin, who were fighting, sweated coldly for the little thieving cat. Don't be reckless, Zhao Feng shouted. The little thieving cat had a mysterious connection with him. But at this moment, the cat was drunk and its consciousness was blurry, hence didn't listen to him. It was truly drunk. Zhao Feng's face twitched. Looking closely at the little thieving cat, it was in a weird state. It wasn't just drunk, it had entered a queer state. The drunkenness of the cat seemed to have entered the little thieving cat's bones, and it would use basic instincts such as dodging or evading to dissolve the attacks. A shocking scene appeared on the stage. Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin were fighting all out, and a little drunken cat was hobbling between the two, occasionally hiccuping. Lu Qinxin felt that something was wrong and was wary at first, but she found that the little thieving cat was in a blurry state, as if it was drunk and didn't have the capabilities to attack. Furthermore, there was urgency on Zhao Feng's face, which meant that even its owner couldn't control it. Time passed slowly by. The two had gotten used to the existence of the little thieving cat, and they didn't bother with it. Plus, the little thieving cat was only the size of a palm and was easily ignored. But there were still some young girls paying attention to it. What a cute cat! That cat is way too cool! Stars seemed to pop out of the girls' eyes as they were attracted to the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat seemed to be drunk and clumsy, but in reality, it was extremely agile, not receiving a single scratch of injury so far. Maybe itself didn't realize that it had attracted some fans. On the spectating stand, the flooding Lake City Lord stared at the little thieving cat for a while with furrowed eyebrows. He could easily see Zhao Feng's bloodline potential, but not what the little thieving cat was. Could it be a weird species of heaven and earth? It's definitely newborn, but to be able to gain insights into drunk step? A drunk little cat? Hee. The city lord became even more interested. The little thieving cat's actions made him look at Zhao Feng with a better perspective. After all, no matter how strong the little thieving cat was, it was still Zhao Feng's pet. Soon, an hour passed by and Zhao Feng's true force had decreased dramatically. In reality, he hadn't preserved any true force, and on the contrary, he had expended it significantly. On the other hand, Lu Qinxin was still casual. She had the cultivation of the half-step true spirit realm, meaning that she could last longer. And if I continue on like this, I can lose, Zhao Feng thought. He didn't want to win and didn't have a high chance of doing so either. At this time, Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he stared at the white veil covering Lu Qinxin's face. This girl is extremely mysterious and likes to travel. She also has a hairbrush similar to First Elders. Even her age is uncertain. Zhao Feng's eyebrows rose. Could this Lu Qinxin be related to the person that he was looking for? Or was she the one? If I could see her looks, that'd be much better. Zhao Feng couldn't help but think, but knew that it was extremely unlikely. The current situation wasn't good for him. If they continued, his true force would be the first to be expended. Lu Qinxin, however, was getting more courageous by the moment. She had fully gained the upper hand. In normal circumstances, when Lu Qinxin had suppressed her cultivation to the seventh sky and Zhao Feng acted more ferocious in the first hour, he still had a certain chance of winning. But because he didn't want to win, he purposely expended his true force. Scanning across the stage, Zhao Feng suddenly found the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat was still doing its drunk step, but it looked smugly at Zhao Feng. Good chance. The little thieving cat's mostly awake now. Zhao Feng's heart was filled with joy. If the little thieving cat was awake, Zhao Feng could give simple orders to it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat understood Zhao Feng's intentions and suddenly turned in Lu Qinxin's direction. Lu Qinxin was suppressing Zhao Feng straight on and was used to the little thieving cat's existence, thus ignoring it. Only till the little thieving cat was 5 to 6 yards away did Lu Qinxin become wary. At this moment in time, the little thieving cat's drunkenness had obviously faded by over half and it sped straight towards her. Shwa! In a flash, the little thieving cat suddenly disappeared from their sights. Some of the spectators started screaming. They were mainly young girls. Bang! So, a faint smile curled up on Zhao Feng's lips and his circulated his bloodline power and fired his Luoho bow. At the same time, the azure sharp swallow pounced ferociously towards her. Invisibility. Lu Qinxin's eyes were as calm as water and faced Zhao Feng's attacks while spreading her spiritual sense to scan in a 10 yards radius. Although she was at the half-step true spirit realm, her spiritual sense strength wasn't any weaker than those at the true human rank, and she was able to easily uncover illusions and those invisible. However, Lu Qinxin became panicked the next instant. Her spiritual sense didn't find any traces of the little thieving cat. Meow meow. A meow sounded right next to her ear, and Lu Qinxin felt a small gray cat the size of a palm appear on her shoulder. What? Not only was Lu Qinxin shocked, even the city lord and experts at the true spirit realm's expression changed. At this moment, Lu Qinxin was stunned. The little thieving cat laughed at her. Then, like a joker, it ripped away her veil. Shwa! Underneath the veil was a beautiful face. Her nose, eyebrows, lips and teeth were like perfection. Her beauty made others unable to breathe. She was like a goddess in a painting. At this point, the crowd had become dead silent. Countless spectators were stooped, their eyes dazed as they looked at this scene. The soul-shaking looks even made Zhao Feng dazed for a little while, but it was soon replaced by disappointment. The Lu Qinxin in front of him was far younger than he imagined. She did not seem much older than Zhao Yufei. At this moment, the girl's face was filled with surprise that was quickly replaced by embarrassment, and a layer of red covered her cheeks. Through these actions, one could tell that she wasn't old. But somehow, Zhao Feng felt a sense of anger and hatred from Lu Qinxin as the latter looked at him with complex emotions. Meow meow. The little thieving cat seemed to sense that something was wrong and instantly disappeared from Lu Qinxin's shoulder. The next instant, a powerful aura of the half-step true spirit realm radiated from Lu Qinxin as her aura exploded and her hair was floating about. Zhao Feng felt it was hard to breathe, and at this time, his true force had all been expended. If Lu Qinxin decided to attack, now it would be hard for him to retreat unharmed. Lu Qinxin's emotions were unstable and her eyes were extremely complex. You pulled off my veil. Zhao Feng was somewhat dazed, but luckily, Lu Qinxin managed to control her emotions. Meow meow. The little thieving cat reappeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder, and then it took out an old coin which it flipped mid-air. Ding! The ancient coin landed on the little thieving cat's paw, and instantly, the latter seemed to realize something and flashed into spiritual pet bag. On the stage, there was only Zhao Feng and the embarrassed, hateful, angered Lu Qiangxin. This little thieving cat. Zhao Feng grinded his teeth. He knew that the second that the little thieving cat sensed that something was wrong, it would disappear. And at this point in time, Lu Qiangxin's mood was obviously not good. It's my honor to witness your appearance, but this one feels guilty for being unable to be your match. Zhao Feng immediately bowed in defeat. It wasn't hard for anyone to see that Zhao Feng wasn't Lu Qiangxin's match. It was already glorious for him to fight so long and even pull off the daughter of the city lord's veil. This one shall leave now. Zhao Feng smiled and turned into an arc of lightning that flashed away from the stage. The spectators only smiled and looked at Zhao Feng with kind eyes, having no intent to stop him. Father. Lu Qiangxin looked at the city lord with embarrassment. Stop him! The flooding lake city lord shouted, and the heavens seemed to shake. His voice was as powerful as thunder. Zhao Feng, who was in the middle of running, felt his figure freeze and he almost spat out blood. A devastating aura crushed down upon him, and it made his true force almost stop flowing. Shua! Shua! Two experts at the true spirit realm immediately went over and held Zhao Feng. The latter knew that resistance was futile and immediately shouted, "This one isn't Lady Lu's match. City Lord, what is this for?" "Haha, to be son-in-law, don't panic. Since you took off her veil, you're destined to be her husband." The flooding Lake City Lord smiled and signaled the two true human rank experts to let go of Zhao Feng. Future husband? Zhao Feng was fully dazed. What the heck was going on? At this point in time, Lu Qiangxin had put the veil back on and landed next to the City Lord as she looked at Zhao Feng with unwilling and embarrassed eyes. "Can City Lord please explain?" Zhao Feng took a deep breath. Ever since they had met, the City Lord had calculated against him, making him attend the fight, then making Lu Qiangxin suppress her cultivation, and now giving him the title of future husband. Lu Qiangxin's master told her before she died that the man who first takes off her veil will be her destined partner. The flooding Lake City Lord was overjoyed. The moment that he had seen Zhao Feng, he had made plans and the latter had surprised him. And now, Zhao Feng was the one who had uncovered Lu Qiangxin's veil, her destined partner. Wait, no. The person that uncovered her veil wasn't me. It was that cat. Zhao Feng replied with a sunken face.